Good evening, folks. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:03. The full board present, including secretary and town administrator. All right, we've got a pile of minutes here from last week.
You did a great job.
Yes.
I did it.
Who wants to do the honors?
I didn't even have to call you.
We can alternate. Okay, I will make a motion to approve the, this is the regular minutes, from December 1st at 7:04.
A second.
All right, first and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go, sir. And next one's for 8:47. More than once?
Yep.
Bob, did you second or Brian, did you?
I did.
Oh, okay. I try on the second unless it's something.
Unless you have.
Unless I have to.
They were in order, but they might be out of order.
Nope, they're in there. Yeah. Situation one.
Alright, okay, I will make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes from
These two.
December 1st at 8:47 p.m.
Take what you want. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Negative.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, you good enough?
This one is.
No. Personally, I don't know if we really need to have done that in executive session anyway, but.
Yeah.
Play safe and sorry.
Let's see what the time is.
Two.
Oh, I can see. I'm looking right at it, Tim. Motion to accept the non-public meeting that was held at 8:52 p.m.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Negative.
Nope.
All set done, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trying to mix her up, right?
And then I'll sign these
It's
before
all
I go
right.
to.
I'm getting it.
And a motion to accept the non-public minutes of the meeting for 9:06 p.m.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
No.
None? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I know.
5 cents.
Okay.
We only got one left to go.
That's one.
I think that's the first time you've
I
been
can't
public.
sign this one. This is the one Reed has to sign. I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
See, I even did that right.
You did most of the work.
Everybody else good?
I gotta sign that one.
That's,
Sorry about that, guys, but
Is there one more?
no,
this one right here, right?
Yep.
This one.
No more?
917.
This one's all signed.
Okay.
So I'm good with that.
That you take that one. And a move to accept the minutes of the non-public that was held at 9:17 p.m.
I'll second that.
No discussion? Any
No.
discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Sad part is with non-public, every time the subject changes, you have to go in and out, because you can only go into non-public for that specific reason that you're in there for. So unfortunately, we had a few items. Took us more time to go in and out than it was to discuss them.
Tom's the only one's gonna sign this one.
Alrighty. Excuse me, sir.
It's alive.
All right, next on the agenda is the library trustees' budget
Yes.
proposal.
You received everything?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably don't have this.
Are you talking about the lighting?
No,
at
but
some time?
that's, I'm assuming it's this number here.
Okay, so I just tried, well, so I know that John had some lighting, other stuff in here, I just want to
Oh,
make sure.
appropriation.
Did you get copies of those? Cause he got some quotes and
Yep.
an
Should be,
assessment
yes.
and.
Yep, they're all
Right on the
attached.
street. Yep,
Got it.
okay.
Alrighty.
You had the total, that's the number you wrote there, so we're good.
Oh, oh.
Is that what you wrote there?
I wrote you that. Just keep hold on, and I'm sure I know.
Those are your,
This is my first rodeo.
that's okay, these are your revenues, this is what you're asking for the town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mary, you said you were from Montana.
I know.
True.
But this is my first rodeo here in New Hampshire.
Okay,
Okay, thank
you're
you.
doing fine.
so far.
So were you able to get a copy of the budget ahead of time?
No, I just saw it now.
Okay, well, you have,
We got it today.
okay.
But they have
So, the floor is yours if you wanna take and go through it with us and kinda
okay.
Sure.
enlighten us on your choices of numbers
Yeah.
and such.
The two things that, changed the number a little bit were, under building maintenance, I think we had brought up at a previous meeting that there was a problem with one of the toilets, and the plumber had said that that toilet was over 20 years old and really needed to be replaced. So we put that in there. He said it would be approximately $500 for everything. So I don't know if that's something that we should keep in there in our budget, or if that's something that would be in the town, since it's a,
Yeah.
Town
town
map.
budget.
Mhm.
I think the building maintenance, I think was from last year, the perception that we were led to believe is that anything that has to do with the building itself is,
Right.
it's a town building, it's
Right.
out of the government building line in the town budget. Building maintenance for you would be more like your shelving and desk and stuff
Yeah.
that's more,
Yeah.
Paint,
yeah,
Yeah.
if you want, but
Inside.
clean the carpet,
inside, not outside.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, I
So
would say
three.
move that to the town's budget.
Okay, so that's
What's that,
something
sir?
we weren't sure
What's that?
about.
Right here, building maintenance,
Yep.
they get any new toilets, stuff like that. They're basically,
Fixed.
tenants,
Correct.
so that being the case, anything of, capital improvements, maintenance like that, outside, inside, that's, heavy duty stuff is ours.
Correct.
Their building maintenance is gonna be more like their bookshelves and desks and chairs, whatever. That's how we were looking at it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I have a question though, that
Sure.
Concord Fire, is that the annual monitoring? Okay, that would also come out of us.
Oh,
Yeah,
So the
We
whole,
already paid that last year too, didn't we?
Concord Fire,
yes, we did, yeah.
under building.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question too, thank you.
So am I moving the entire 900, or is there some little tidbit you wanna leave
Well,
other
it's
than
only
711?
400,
Or
711,
minus
yeah.
Minus the,
211.
minus 711, is that what you're taking out of it?
Basically, it leaves you with $200.
Yeah, is that for other incidentals that you would do?
I would think so,
Like
yeah.
cleaning your carpets and stuff like that, or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah, I would think, yeah.
So 200 okay with you guys? So we can,
Okay, it's fine.
So it's actually 189.
we're just rounding it.
Okay,
Yeah.
200.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that, we added on there, and Mary can speak about that better, about, the reason why, is under telephone, and it was adding a second phone line, which was recommended from,
A few different people, the alarm man, Rich, and
Okay,
also,
Rich.
I can't pronounce his last name, Rich, the alarm man.
Yep.
And then our computer IT man. For the longest time, I gotta say, it's probably been years, when you make a phone call on our primary line, there is this horrible dialing and clicking sound every 20 seconds.
because
That
it
is
shares a
because-
line with the alarm line.
Our alarm is hooked up to our primary phone line, which is really, it's not wired right. Now, if our phone, if we had a second phone line, the alarm could be hooked up in there and there'd be no issue with the phone. But it's a horrible clicking noise.
So how do we do it here in this building? Do we have separate lines?
We have multiple lines here.
Yeah, we
Oh, yeah,
have
so
three,
they
we
probably
have
have-
3 lines plus fax.
And you said
Did you talk
something-
to Dunbarton Telephone?
I have,
And they suggested that as well?
second, yes,
But they won't give any kind of discount
no
or anything?
discount.
Of course not.
It would be just the second line at, whatever it is, at $480 a year.
So what line were you talking about here?
Under
We're talking
telephone.
telephone.
Very bottom line.
Yep,
Oh, bottom line.
Bottom.
just
Yeah,
before the
gotcha.
total.
No, and you said that Chief Wigan had recommended it too, right?
Well, Rich told me that he's talked with Chief Wigan about it a lot. And our concern is that it might be that at some point that alarm does not work. If, for instance, we just have a handheld base unit, if that receiver is knocked off and is off, no one knows about it, that alarm may not work. talking on the phone for an extended period of time, it may not work. But, so we've added that into the budget for your consideration.
Well, now, one other thing is, we've been talking about as a board, is upgrading our computers, which would be more of a capital improvement. We're thinking of using, some capital improvement funds and really getting up to date with, our computers, and, cause that's really the direction a
Security.
lot of libraries are going in these days too. Someone, a computer guy that, kind of analyzed everything for Mary said that, the computers now, there's really no good firewall or
No.
security systems, and so he also recommended this second line, if we're gonna do an upgrade, kind of modernizing of the computer systems, that we would need that line for that as well, so.
Does the library use True North for their computer services?
I don't think so.
Same ones we use here in
No,
the town office?
we don't have currently an IT person at all.
Oh, you don't?
This.
Well,
this-
Nancy used to do all of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Used to tinker around
And
and,
who's maintaining your webpage now?
Mary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So basically there's a lot of home computer stuff over
Right.
there. No security. If you're pretty savvy with computers, you can do a drive-by and see who has iPhones on in the building.
Yeah.
No firewalls.
Hmm.
Um,
Would it make sense to, have True North piggyback the library with what we
We'd
have
have to
here?
add put additional.
Yeah, I'd have to change the contract.
Yeah.
Change it.
But would it make sense to have Jim or
It
someone
would.
from the company come do an evaluation and,
Yeah.
no, so
but
sure.
look at the bigger picture, not just as a single building, but,
So, I mean, that's entirely to the trustees to decide that, but I mean, we can offer that
yeah,
service to them if they want to.
I can show, we've had one evaluation from
Yeah.
a gentleman I've known from other libraries who's done the work there.
yeah.
And I'm familiar with, and he's done very good work. And he knows libraries, small
Yeah.
libraries especially well. Our
Yeah.
needs, there's something that he could handle. I can share with True North
Yeah.
what Alan Treadwell has shared with us and recommends for us.
Yeah, why don't, you coordinate with Lean on that?
Okay,
I'll
That's
send you
I
the
will.
contact information.
Yeah.
and he's the guy from where, correct? No,
No, he lives
No,
right
he
in
lives in
Dunbarton.
town,
Yeah, he lives here,
but he works for a larger outfit.
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah, he lives right on River Rogers.
but they've been doing service here for the town for a while.
okay.
Do a nice service. We actually,
Oh.
last year, expanded our contract with them, well, actually created the contract and,
Yeah,
you know.
was it last year or the year before?
2 years ago.
A
Couple of years now, yeah.
About a year and a half, actually, it was a year
Yeah.
and a half
Yeah.
long,
Yeah.
so it's kind of one of those oddball things.
Yeah,
One detail, that 480, it says,
Yeah.
it's for the whole year, not for month.
Yeah.
It says, it's not per
The
month.
last line,
That's it.
telephone line.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure,
I
thank
would,
you.
I would be curious how our, security system here, although maybe it's a different system altogether, I don't know, but, you know, how we get away with hooking it up without a separate line, if that's how we're doing it, I don't know.
And granted, you guys are different, but yet the same. I mean, if we can marshal our forces and get a reduced rate for you folks as well as us.
Yeah, well, that's what I was
makes sense.
thinking, yeah.
Right now, he services our building, and then he also services the transfer station. It's a little bit more difficult down there, cause I think you lose your internet a lot or something.
How the heck they do that? It's on
It
to
just
yourself
goes-
through the phone line.
Yeah, but it's still, for some reason, a lot of times they try to do like we have scheduled, what are they called, nightly.
Updates?
Oh, updates,
Yeah.
upgrades, yeah.
Yeah, they have a.
Well, they do a maintenance.
They call it a patch or something
Yeah,
like that.
patch, yeah,
Patch,
putting in
and,
software upgrades.
They have no problems doing all of ours, cause I send out the email saying, leave your computers on, just as a reminder, and then they report to me that they couldn't get into your computer.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the computer itself, which is fairly new,
Right.
if it's the environment, if it's the location of the
Could be
internet.
shutting itself off.
Yeah, it could be going to sleep,
Going to
yeah,
sleep.
yeah, it could be.
Yeah, but I logged in last night when I got home, cause I had to do one more thing.
At the transfer station?
No, over here.
Right,
and-
but I mean, the transfer station computer is going to sleep, so when they try to
Yeah.
do the patch,
Could
it
be.
looks like it's just shut off.
Yeah, it may not be there. Yeah, it could just be a setting in the machine itself, possibly,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Your computers are they're not networked all together, are they?
yes.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, but he is completely separate
Yeah.
and independent, and they service his
Yeah,
under the
Yeah.
same similar contract, provide the
Mhm.
service, the cloud, the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
updates,
Did we get one for the fire station yet?
they have a volunteer that, yes, we
Yeah,
bought
one
it
of
for
their
the,
people internally.
they have
is-
new, but their internal,
Yeah.
person is
Yeah, but I
maintaining
thought
it.
that was part of the deal, is that we get them a new one and everything, so they have up-to-date stuff, but also to take and start getting them
Okay.
weaned onto, you know, our protections
Yeah.
through the True North.
Well, that way you have all the backups and stuff
Yeah, I
in
mean,
town.
who knows if they get back, I'm not saying they
Yeah.
can't work together and stuff, but, you know, at least the backups and the patches
Okay,
and all
so
that
then I
stuff.
have to add another station.
Potentially,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I think I think it makes sense to bundle it all up under one umbrella, and maybe eventually it just becomes something the town provides
Yeah.
instead of, I mean, it's all the same pot of money.
it is.
Instead of library owning their little piece and the firehouse and everybody else.
We're pretty bare bones basic. We rely on the internet, and we
Right.
don't back up anything. It's
No.
all in the
Right.
cloud.
Well, this would give you a backup and
Yeah,
everything.
you would have
We
that
don't-
with this
no,
service.
we don't really need it. It's, our catalog runs online,
Yep.
whatnot, we do
Mhm.
mostly online. The only thing that we really do need to do is protect our patrons a bit more.
Right,
You know, maybe
That in your books? You're
not
financing?
true, but, you know, protect the patron's privacy.
Yep.
And at this point, there's really
Minimal.
none of that
Yeah.
going on, nor ours either.
yeah, well, through True North, you'd have, you know, that kind of stuff going on, firewalls and
Yeah.
all that.
I'll send you a phone number on that.
All right.
Yeah.
See, yeah, that'd be nice, thank you.
Yeah, then he can work with you and with the library
Well,
folks.
look
and
at
work out a
this,
quote.
when you deduct the cost of the new toilet and everything, they're pretty close to,
Last year.
Oh, actually,
you know.
hi, George.
Hey, George.
How you doing?
Good. Just in time,
I
we're all done.
We're
Just
in
kidding,
process.
said you just in time, we're all done.
We're just discussing this.
In 4 hours to drive up to the
Almost
bus.
the last year, you know.
Yeah, the budgets are probably the same. But we're gonna pull some stuff out too.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
So, yeah.
Right.
I have to confirm that with them, I'm not sure
George,
if I
George
understand their budget.
Mosquito.
George, how do you spell your last name?
Maskiell.
Thank you.
Mary, just so it's clarified for me, you are asking the town, from the town, 95,390, which is 1780 over last year's, correct? Okay, but if I deduct the, $700,
Okay, yes,
I come up, I'm just looking at my total now, because I'm taking that 700 and putting it on the town side. Your updated budget would be 94,690, is that correct?
I
Okay,
don't have a calculator.
I do it right here, and
Okay.
I basically took this number and subtracted $700, so I
Yeah,
have 94,690 is the new number.
okay,
Yep.
the toilet, toilet and fire, call it fire,
1,080.
that building maintenance line.
What's that?
So you had on your comment
17.
section, it says 1780 there, it
Yeah.
actually is 1080, because you take the $700 off.
Oh, it's an increase, yep,
Increase of 1080,
yep, you're right, I didn't change it there, but makes sense.
so.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Any other questions for us? Pretty flat, we've remained flat,
I assume you got a new copier?
we do have a new copier. Moving forward, we had a tabletop black and white model, this one is a color, and, computers print to it, with UBM service release. It's a fax copier,
Mhm.
scanner,
Gotcha. All in one.
all in one.
Coming into the 21st century.
Yeah, we are cruising in. Our
But that was
salesperson
the
is from
case with that
Dunbarton.
fast internet then. But that was the case with that fast internet.
You getting that too?
Here we are,
Yeah, you guys are, I'm not over on my end.
we're bleeding edge.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, got any other questions or
No,
concerns?
I'm good.
Thoughts?
No,
Wayne?
So this lighting thing is separate from this, right?
Yes.
The lighting's separate.
Okay, cool.
it's actually a fairly tight budget.
But, so you. Everybody's in and go through there, so. All right, lighting.
like it.
John Stevens did say he wanted to talk on it, but he.
He was at another meeting that was
Right.
till 8, and I think we'll be done with it
Before that,
so.
okay.
This is the same thing.
So I kept what you gave us last
Okay.
week, and I gave them a copy of that, and
Yeah.
then I also
So,
printed off all the attachments from John Stevens.
Okay,
Well, we consulted with John, and this reflects a lot of what we talked about with John. There's one project, the first sheet, which we feel is urgent because it's a safety issue. Right now, there's no light often when you go into the building. These steps are not lit. There's supposed to be a motion detector that turns on the light, but for a while it was working too well, turning on the lights when cars went by, but recently it's just decided not to work at all. So we would like to get something done very promptly there. And later on, we hope that we can have some lighting for the parking area, because right now it's very dark in the parking area. There's a couple of telephone poles, which so far I think have not been hit, but they're prime targets. So we're hoping that over time that can be taken care of. So that's why there are two separate sheets.
Right.
There's one change from what the folks saw, one change which we think we'd like to make, and Mary, you probably want to talk about that.
Well, what we would like simply is this. There is a timer currently in the basement that operates the 2 lamps on the ramp. If we could have a new LED light at the end of the porch wired into that timer, we can manually work it so that the lights come on, you know, from dusk until say a half an hour after we leave or so.
You
Now-
have to constantly change it though.
Hmm?
You have to constantly change it, because every,
yeah,
Yeah, I know, but it's just like that on the
Manual switch.
seasons or when, it's just right down, so we do that now. We do it now.
and that way it wouldn't be lights that were on all night long or
Right.
something.
Right.
because that's a,
yeah, you're just trying to set something up that's on when you need it.
Right, that it doesn't interfere with the neighbors or whatnot. Now, this fixture could possibly have 2 lights. If an electrician feels it could also adequately light the ramp. And then at that point, then we could pull down those 2 ramp light poles. Excuse me.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This, we just received this from you. Are these 3 proposals that we got from Stephen for this work?
Yes, except that calls for a light to be on all night. And Mary is suggesting doing with a timer instead.
So this would be over and above the cost you have in here, I think.
This would be less, I think.
This would be
The like a more minimal.
because there's no photocell involved,
No.
there's no
it's just
power on all
LED.
Yeah, so they're talking about a lamp with a timer that you can
Yeah.
schedule. Is that timer in the basement of the
Yes,
building, or it is?
yes.
So now you gotta go out of the building to get to it,
No, I go downstairs.
through the building, not out to that bulkhead and
No,
stuff.
no, that's the one that's really, I don't
Yeah.
know, what's going on with that. But basically, so you can just see what I'm talking about, and I'm not just grabbing it everywhere. We could have a new LED lamp light fixture right there. It would beam down on the porch and the stairs that are right here. And if, and it would have to be on the top, the one that's down in the basement now. Now, if an electrician thought that he could put 2 lamps up there, it basically could shine here.
So your plan is 2 lamps on there running off that timer,
Uh-huh,
and then you would set it from dusk to a half an hour after close.
exactly, something like that. And then, you know what, that lamp would illuminate that area.
And they can do that for what is it, $100?
You take down those dumb pole things.
Yeah,
That's the bare bones, you know, basically.
yeah,
That is the bare, what we really,
but that's what you need for right now, because you have a safety
yeah.
concern.
yeah,
Excuse me.
so this is for what particular?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's something that John did.
This is,
And actually, he got 2 more quotes today, but he's not here with them.
I got
think
it.
you
I
emailed
got
it
it,
now.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
This was a bigger lighting up job when
he's doing
You get the
something
whole,
on the ends of the building.
yeah,
So that's why I'm confused, is it this that we want, or is it this that we want?
So the parking lot is a separate proposal,
Okay,
and we don't feel the
yeah, I
same
think this
urgency.
is a whole nother thing.
No,
Okay.
We'd
no.
like to get it done, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because the parking lot could depend on, you know, what happens in the upstairs of that building eventually, or, you know, in years to come, and so it would be a lot to do right now without knowing
Yeah,
the future of that building.
Right now, we aren't just sure how the wiring works to that mercury vapor lamp, so not knowing that, it's hard to have a firm design.
Do you know offhand if these are freestanding, like poles in the ground, or are they on the building as well?
Well, I mean,
The three
John
poles we
Stevens
have
is
there.
Yeah, John's plan, I don't know.
No idea.
You don't, okay, so we'll have to let him.
I don't know they're on the building.
That's John.
It looks like it, because it looks like they're right on the
They're on the
end.
building.
Well, the way he's got the nose straight with the arrows aiming out, I would make that assumption as well.
The building?
That they're mounted to the building.
Okay, so he
Okay.
said he'd be here for 8, so we can have him talk about it.
And we're well aware of the seller, but the oddity of Bill Zoe is that he feels a light that stays on for a period of time is better than one that keeps going off and on.
Well, yeah, cause it's less distracting.
Less distraction, as long as it doesn't shine in his house, of course.
Yeah, you just get used to the one that's on all the time, but the one that flashes catches your eye every time it comes on.
hope you don't have to.
Yeah,
So,
Okay,
Okay.
so I would say that,
so we got two separate things going on here.
yes, we did.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So
So
what
these
is it, for
resources
$800?
come from the town's
With the
maintenance
budget.
budget.
Well, I would think so, yeah.
That's what I think is
I
the
would
intent.
think so
Right?
too, yeah.
That's outside the building.
Yeah, cause this is the building, yeah.
so the 800 would be over and above
Well, the 800 comes out of town
maintenance budget.
maintenance,
Well,
right?
yeah, I mean, I think that's what these quotes are for, so.
Yeah.
these-
Well, I don't
The
think
quotes are
these
just for
quotes
the entrance.
They're not
Nothing
quoting
else.
this.
Right.
That's what this is, that's what they don't know.
Just for the entrance.
Entryway.
This is the same thing, right?
And the price is 2,800.
Yeah,
No, that's for the parking lot.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
that's the parking
Yeah.
lot,
But
and
you
this
have
is
the
the
one over
entrance.
there.
Yeah, this one here's 800.
Which
Oh,
goes with
yeah,
the
it's the
three
longest
quotes.
Does this go quotes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was trying to figure it out.
We just got this.
Oh, yeah,
Bill-
675,
Yes, Bill did.
2800 building,
Yep.
953.
and that's the one you
He
picked,
gave,
because I think,
this- both of them.
900.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I gave you
So
two
how
different
many
sheets.
people-
Last
Do
week-
they wanna go with this
last
guy?
week we received these 3 options from
Oh, yeah.
Mary.
Yep.
It looks like it's the one on the bottom, on that quote, that sheet.
That was like the original
Right.
assessment that John,
And then it looks like this is just a summary, and
Yeah.
this is the one you wanna go with,
Right.
for the option. And then these are the quotes for that 2,800.
No.
so these are the quotes for
These are quotes for the.
Quotes for the
800.
For the entrance.
just the
The
entrance,
map
yeah.
doesn't add up to
This goes to
2,800.
the-
Alright,
I think these two, the parking lot, this, and this whole,
yep,
just goes together.
And it looks like Kel's.
John?
The library entrance and the three quotes go together, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
yeah, Ford Electric looks like the little
The
guy.
$2,800 one is kind of on the back burner, cause that's
Right.
more excessive lighting
And
in
you
the
don't,
whole
you don't have
parking lot.
quotes for that here.
Right,
Okay, got it.
No, I think John wants to probably talk to that one.
Okay.
Cool.
but the entry, the one that says 800,
yep,
that was just kind of doing the minimal for the entryway, dealing with that safety issue.
okay,
But we tweaked it a little bit after John got these quotes.
Okay, so
Because
those
Mary
are-
was saying that maybe
okay.
we don't need,
So what, so
have
this
it all
one
the
here
way.
is 675?
No,
right?
we need
This is 675, cause it makes that one, right?
Yep,
This
they're
one's
doing
nine.
the same thing, same pieces of equipment and everything, I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's definitely the most, competitive bid.
are you, am I assuming that you're taking the low bid and then you're rounding it to 800, is that maybe what we're doing?
We-
Because these other two
We
are.
made the estimate,
$100,000.
the 800 was before we had any
This
quotes.
makes sense, doesn't it?
It was a ballpark estimate.
Oh, okay,
On the material.
so scratch the 800,
Yeah, now it's.
we have 3 quotes.
Right, we have 3 quotes. and, you know,
And the 800 was just the best
Yeah,
guess
just
before we
like
had
flagging
quotes.
it,
Okay,
yeah.
but that's what these quotes will be doing.
Yes.
Okay, now I got it.
But it appears
But
we're
you wanna
getting,
make sure when we budget money in the governmental maintenance, that we address that adequately, so
Oh, yeah.
you don't wanna use the low number and
Correct.
find out that it was too low.
I've
Right.
Yeah,
always,
yeah,
yeah,
You know,
yeah, use the middle one.
yep, or the high one.
Well,
Well, there's always cost increase when you get a price quote for,
Well, I mean, in theory,
well, that's $900.
if we have the $800 now, we can encumber it just by signing of the quote.
you have a budget here, we can look at it later.
That's always a possibility, we'll put that on the back
Absolutely,
burner.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that way we don't have to worry about it next year, we can get it sooner.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
by the time we get this approved in the budget, it's gonna be March.
And also these quotes, might change a little bit based on,
Right.
this new idea of maybe not having it go on
We
like,
have to have the
like-
quotes, or
Yeah.
new, whatever.
Updated quotes, yeah, so.
If we decide to fix it this year, we'll need updated quotes. If we
Mm.
budget it for next year, then
Then
we
it's
can,
time.
we can either get new quotes for the correct work or increase the estimates a little bit, but it would be nice to have an accurate number,
Yeah.
which I don't think it would take too much for them to modify.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
That's why you have to,
But it's pretty doable, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially if we have the money, it's a
Yeah,
safety,
we have
it's
cash.
actually a safety concern.
Right, take
Yeah.
a bunch of them out, I'd rather do it now while it's earlier, you know,
Well,
the
that,
winter.
that ramp is becoming so, to walk down without any light, you're tripping.
You need a hammer.
Really splitting up there.
You have to go over there with a hammer every week and something else has popped up, nails.
But without lighting, it's hard to see when you're going out there. Anyway.
No, I understand that, yeah, so I mean, over the course of the winter though, I mean, by the time we approve it in town meeting and get it done, you're
Yeah,
talking
it's
end of
another
March,
4
beginning of
months,
April, by the
5
time daylight savings has already happened, and you guys are probably gonna have not daylight.
Yeah, and you're 6 months out before anybody does anything, so, yeah.
So I mean, for short money, for $800, we're gonna see, if we have it, we'll,
Yep.
we'll kick it around, and we'll see if we can get it done sooner, but if we do, you guys got to be proactive and get us some
Yeah.
up-to-date quotes ASAP with your new configuration that you're looking to do.
Yeah.
Will do. Last thing we need is anybody falling, slipping and falling and getting hurt.
Mm.
Okay, so this parking lot light, John will speak on
Yep.
at a later
Yeah.
time.
Okay,
Okay, sounds good. And that's all we have.
okay.
All right, folks, thank
Any
you very
questions?
much.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
We didn't have any public comment, so can I ask something here? About,
Oh, you're right, we didn't, I'm sorry.
can I ask them something? It pertains to the ramp. Can it be
Go ahead.
screwed down? The existing ramp, those boards can they be screwed down?
They can be screwed down, the boards are all cracking,
Yeah, but some of them could be changed,
they could be
not
turned,
all
they
of
could
them,
be, actually, they could be turned over.
you know, and then it could be screwed and then pull those nails out, you don't have that problem yet?
Pop the nails, turn them over and screw them down,
Yeah.
yeah. Get it done. Cause they're splintering and cracking now, so. My concern is no light on that, on the ramp.
Yeah, right, I mean, you know, the trip factor and all, so, okay, sorry, thank you.
I had a question on the ramp also. I know we talked about that a few weeks ago, and, were we talking about replacing that ramp with something that's, you know, maybe a little more, ADA and weather resistant and,
Yeah, we did.
I think
Better.
that was the intent,
Yeah.
their
Joint,
intent.
joint
Yeah.
bus committee, we talked
have you
about
looked at,
that.
has anybody looked at doing that, what that would cost,
I
what that
thought we said we were
entails?
gonna wait and see what the, town hall restoration folks.
So we're waiting for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's
Part, cause that's part of their purview, I guess,
Yeah.
Yep, okay,
so.
alright.
They're working with you folks too, right? I mean, keeping you in the loop of whatever they're doing?
A little bit.
He's
Yeah.
part of that group right there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right
Forgot
there.
about
And we're gonna meet, in January again, so it's just a introductory meeting, just to who is, players are. And then I believe we're gonna move forward sometime in January, with some results, so.
Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense to replace the whole thing yet if it would just be coming down,
Right,
yeah.
just needs a little bit of
Maybe
TLC.
some
Yes,
repairs,
yeah.
the 3 boards over, screws.
Yeah.
To reinforce what Phil said, you know, the outside
Yeah.
lighting for the parking lot, or anything to do out
It's already
there.
there.
I mean, anything you're trying to do now might all change,
Right,
you know?
right.
Do you guys have anybody on that committee from the trustees or the library itself? You, you?
I'm the rep from the trustees to
Okay.
the committee.
Well, that's good, I just wanna make sure that you guys get some input on that, because
Yes,
don't wanna be doing it in a vacuum from you
yes,
guys.
no, yeah.
Bob lets me know when the meetings are.
My husband's on that committee too, so I
Oh, that's right.
hear him.
Top of my head, I think
Doing
it's
it.
January
Do I feel
12th,
stupid?
I'm not positive.
Do I feel stupid? I feel all clumsy on that.
Right.
Probably haven't seen it so long, so.
So I'm at the election.
No, I don't mean him, I mean the committee.
Oh, the committee, yeah, yeah. Well, you fill a room with committee members now, I think.
That's
It's
good.
a large committee.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, that's great. Excellent. We can go out of order and go for public comment now.
I'm all done.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, before you guys go, I'm gonna open up a public comment because I went out of order and I spaced it, I was just, we had so many minutes. You guys have anything else you wanna add, besides library stuff, I mean, just general town, anything from mine that you wanna? All right, I just thought I'd give you the opportunity before you take off and go like that.
Hey, we're getting a new toilet, new lights.
Oh, yeah.
The roof looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the roof looks really
Yeah,
good.
it does.
Boy,
Maybe I'll
does
see
it
where you're going
slide.
now.
Yeah,
Oh my
no
gosh,
snow
does
sticks
it
on that.
slide.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
no
it's like a
snow
couple of
load on that.
No snow load? Good.
We watched it all week.
Excellent.
Right now.
You could hear it in there the other day too.
Started an
Yeah.
avalanche, huh?
And it only had a dusting.
Right.
And I guess it's just not gonna stick.
Good.
That's good.
That's good.
You wait for it, once it's there. See what happens.
Cam.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
You too.
So much for the historical society, the donation.
Oh, the historical awareness committee, yeah,
Yes.
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 We're really looking forward to putting out some press on that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good luck, you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Public comment? Linda?
All said, thank you.
Couple of quick things in case I don't stay here.
Yep.
Next Wednesday night, I'll be attending a meeting with the Concord Co-op, which we're still a member of, which
Yep.
we used to haul our trash to. They're gonna be dividing up some more of the assets. Potential amount that the town of Dunbarton could see would be around $12,000. I don't know if the check would be this year or actually come after the first of the year. I'll find that out at the meeting. And another thing, I don't know if Lean, if you'd given them the revenues that you sent to me, but just so you
No, I
have.
didn't see it, I
I
just
didn't
saw the,
CC you?
no, you said that, you said the, email with the, revenues, I think you said they were up and down,
Yeah.
Stuff like that, I think she did send it.
Just for, not, it doesn't mean anything, we still have some outstanding money, I did a quick tally today, we're still looking at about $4,500 to $4,800 that's still owed to us. Whether it comes this budget year or into the following budget year, just thought I'd bring it up when Eileen did, send that out to me, and I haven't seen it, so I figured I'd just mention it.
Do you have a spreadsheet with the actual, tonnage and dollar amounts or anything, like, so much went out, so much, excuse me, it cost us so much to get rid of, the
I'm sure I can do
recyclables,
something.
and
I
then how
don't
much
have
of the
anything
revenue
done
that
up.
came in, so we can actually see where we stand and.
I could do something up, I don't have anything done up right now, I mean, only
That'd be
being-
nice, and it's something, if, you might wanna think about doing something, in my opinion, and up to these two gentlemen to chime in if they want. But, something like that for the town report, because that way it gives people a chance to see what recycling's doing for them. We've taken X amount of tons out of this, the waste stream, it's saved us this kind of money for tipping fees, but, and do the math, and, I mean, granted, it's not obviously gonna bring in a windfall of money, but.
I recall Bonnie sending us a spreadsheet of revenues, it was a whole summary report of
Yeah,
everything.
they'll do you get them periodically through them,
Yep,
but I don't do all my business with them.
okay,
So you can use some of their information, but I
okay.
do business with other vendors as well, so
Yep.
some of it doesn't show up on their sheets as well.
Yep.
We can do something.
Yeah, that way it just gives people a chance when they're reading the town report to say, oh, it actually does make a difference, and like,
Yeah. And then actually, the number that you sent me, Lean,
Yep.
actually considering our markets this year, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
Because our markets are just starting to come back.
Yeah.
I mean, we shipped a load today and the prices, from a month ago have gone up. Some of the items up $30 a ton, so that's a significant increase, from a couple months, we'll say.
For those recyclables that are non-generating, like glass or whatever,
Right.
the very least, it would show how much tonnage is taken out of disposal, because that costs you a little more than trying to
Right,
get rid of
yeah.
the glass.
Yeah.
Exactly, because the trash number actually for this year will go up, but
right.
we'll see what the glass number is. I'm still waiting to hear back what their number will be for the following year. But like right now, it's like $28 a ton difference, something like that. $30 a ton, costs 30. I'd have to look.
So
It's like
for
30
every
bucks a
10
ton.
tons you take out of the waste stream, you're saving $280. stuff adds up over the course of time, and, you know,
Yeah, it does.
it'd be good to let the public see that, and hopefully it might, you know, generate some more recycling.
Right, and that trash number's never gonna go down.
No,
It's never, that's not the way we function, it's never gonna go down.
it doesn't.
That's all I wanted to tell you.
All right, thank you. Mike, you got anything for public comments?
I do not, sir.
All right, Annette? I didn't think so. Well, since we're talking about that, you can come on up here for the budget. Cemetery budget.
And I'll recuse myself here for the, I am the chairman of the cemetery trustee, so I'll sit this one out.
I gave you a copy in
Oh,
case
thank
you
You
you.
want to
were
sit over there?
No, I'm fine.
I didn't sound like it.
I can still,
Did you catch that, Lauren?
Sorry, excuse me.
Tom's recusing himself for this part of the discussion for cemetery budget. He is the chair. So you put that in the minutes.
Yeah.
And just as a full disclosure, at the cemetery meeting, I recuse myself from all budget discussion, so,
So you both do.
no.
no.
At the cemetery meeting, I recuse myself from the budget discussion at the cemetery trustee level.
Oh, I see.
So I'm gonna stay sitting at the chair here,
Right, and I'll sit it out.
and he's sitting it out this time. Try to give us the most amount of separation
Confusing.
of the two groups. So,
Okay,
welcome,
thank you.
long time no see.
Yeah. Twice in the same
You
week.
missed my beautiful face.
So
Absolutely.
2 days too long.
No, not enough. Go for it, what you got? It's your show.
Oh, it is? I didn't know that.
Well, it's your budget, cause Bob, I know what I'm looking at, cause I've done it for so many years, but I mean, enlighten Bob.
Right.
Basically, we're sticking with the same budget we had last year.
So, level funding. I know for the fact, that we're looking on the cemetery trustees to encumber some more money regarding some, cemetery improvements that are gonna be getting done in the spring.
And
That is
So
still
this-
well
so
within
this-
our
so
current
this-
budget.
So this number of 7965 will be coming down about what, another 3,600
Well, there'll be
bucks?
3,600 and then, the
310.
cornerstone.
Yeah, 310.
$310?
Yep.
Plus the
Okay.
3,600,
So that's
Yeah.
3910.
so $4,000.
So yeah, so that'll be coming down another $4,000, so we'll be lapsing some money back to the town, but not all of it.
right, and you're encumbering the money for what?
Cemetery improvements in Page's, cemetery, the, poison ivy and grass that grows right along stone wall, we're gonna have that, well, gonna be taken out, and they're gonna take and put down weed block and put some 3/4 inch stone in there and try to keep that from becoming a problem. And it's also a wet area. And then we also have some cornerstones that we just sold a plot. We're gonna be-
And the stone also along the southern.
Oh, and the southern
wall,
side
by the
too,
Chris-
so-
cremains garden.
Yeah.
So that's now the cremains garden over there. And it's a bear that they can maintain right along the stone wall, so eventually they can actually cheapen our maintenance. Because they'll be able to mow and not have to worry about any handwork, weed whacking and that sort of stuff. So,
And I talked with both suppliers today, so they'll be submitting their stuff to, I told Lane to be watching for it.
Any questions, sir?
I'm just looking.
Okay.
Nothing for fence repair, huh?
That's why we're maintaining, for the most part, the same budget as, this current year, which was the same as last, because we do need to address the fence here and, on the northern side of the cemetery as well.
So you'd be looking at column 5, Bob?
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna put into that again, because they didn't get anything done in the actual year.
Okay. So, okay, so this is a budget that's proposed for
Yeah.
Right.
the next,
Yeah, basically it's all
2017.
funding, doing something. Hopefully we might be able to do something good. The cornerstone stuff really still irks me.
Cause it's, yeah, it's a pass-through, it's not really.
Yeah, we should have asked the,
I,
accounting guy,
No,
would have been a good question for him.
yeah,
I mean, cause right now, when we budgeted $1,000, we've well, by the time we're done, we're gonna be expending $1,860. And that's money that comes out of our budget, but never goes back into it, and it's just basically a pass-through, because we're getting the money from the purchases to for those stones, so,
I'll check with them.
yeah.
Yeah, if there's some way that can be changed, that might make sense.
And if there was a huge run on,
Cornerstone, and you
Cornerstone,
spend
yeah.
the whole
On lot
budget.
sales.
yeah,
Yeah, lot sales, yeah.
exactly, wiping out a budget with just a pass-through account, really.
Right.
So,
Doesn't really reflect what the true,
correct,
accounting is going on.
kinda like double counting it. So,
They look at it both ways. I've
Yeah.
asked him about it, and I'm not sure I don't remember his final comment, but technically you're still accounting for it.
right.
But when you have such a small budget like this, you can see it get
Mhm.
depleted very quickly
Mm.
and then have nothing to do with the repairs, when
Mhm.
overall it comes out of the bottom line of the total budget.
Right.
But you'd be, impacting other lines
Mhm.
throughout the budget.
Yeah, initially we sold a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, anyway, my friend, I mean, the rest, I'm familiar with this budget for a lot of years,
Right.
so, I have no questions, so.
Right,
it's
no,
up
I'm
to
all
you.
set right now, and
Okay.
this is preliminary
Yep,
anyways.
exactly. Alrighty.
Thanks, Annette.
Thank you, Annette.
You're very welcome, my pleasure,
Well, do that.
gentlemen and ladies.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Or
Well,
more.
Stay warm.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cold, that's right.
Right here.
Alright, Linda, your turn.
Good evening.
Did you get anything on your end?
And I would like you to print out the, restoration one in a single line.
Oh, it's okay.
That's about it. I have one question for you, Linda.
Yeah.
Your increase on your budget for the town clerk, did you base that on,
What's that?
over the budgeted?
Over the 47.7?
Okay, that's 53 weeks.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna make a little adjustment there.
Yeah, let me know what
Yeah,
that is.
absolutely.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Did you say that in your email, that it was 52, that it was 53 last
I
year?
can't
Yeah,
recall.
just the way all the pay periods happen to fall.
No, I get that, but
Yeah.
there was no, I don't think there was any reminder this year that, don't
Yeah.
forget, last year we budgeted for
Mm.
53 weeks, this year it's 52.
Did you do a spreadsheet already for everybody's salary with the increase?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've got that estimate that you wanted to know what that .7 would be, but I really
Right.
need to have a second pair of eyes look at it, make
Mhm.
sure. Cause Excel spreadsheets, when
Mhm.
you're doing it, adjusting it on a salary,
Mm-hmm.
rounds to a different number from an hourly, so
Yes.
I'd really like to have someone
Sure.
look at it.
So, and everybody who took a copy of this, did you get what Lean said?
Mhm.
Yep, okay. So we'll just destroy all those others. Do you have a figure for that, Lean? Did you plug in a figure for the 52
I haven't
weeks?
yet. No.
Okay,
I have an estimated worksheet, and I have to have someone review it first.
got it.
Can I speak on this as I work with Linda on a regular basis? Your election meals, you said still one invoice outstanding, or did you correct the
Dave?
expended?
Dave said, oh, I gotta get that invoice to you.
Okay, so
And
there's still
Dave
one.
also said, oh, I gotta give you a quote for next year. So,
Okay.
I don't know if you folks are gonna go line by line, if you wanted any breakdown of anything, or had questions about anything. But that is, and so I put the figure of $400 in the election meals, $425, just because I don't have a figure from Dave at this point. And we don't have an invoice from him for the last election at this point either.
sorry, $975, $900.75?
I wouldn't even wanna venture a guess right now.
Basically, the numbers look, in line, my only question is the elephant in the room, I guess, is the deputy town clerk, where we came up with the 11,721. What you base it on?
Prior to March of 2015, I had been submitting pretty much a standard 12 hours a week, 52 weeks.
That's what I mean, I just wanna know what the math is, how many hours a week you working and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, we're looking at 12 hours a week. Looking at coverage for vacation, extra coverage for the town clerk conference, extra coverage for an election, and then a buffer for illness, family, emergency, whatever, so that we're not stuck under budget. And the nice thing is I've never fully used that buffer in the past, I think with the exception of the year my mother died. So I've always been able to turn that back into the town.
Now, is that currently the same rate to pay, or are you looking at?
That's 0.7. Well, I have, we have been working on a review, which I need to bring to you folks so we can get his pay bumped up. So the hourly rate, if you give me just a sec. This is what the new rate will be for 2017. I'm just going on the assumption that we've already had the review and it's been approved. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you a spreadsheet of consistent numbers every year, because for the past 2 years, I've only had it up to each part of the year.
I got no other questions, so everything's pretty straightforward.
Like I said, it's only, it's the basic numbers.
Yep. We just gotta plug them in and see where it all comes out, and eventually.
No, I'm good, no, it's pretty straightforward.
Right, so, and the elections, you're pretty good with that. Yeah, I have a breakdown of the elections if you'd like it.
Right, as in the past or the current? When you're
What I'm
anticipating?
projecting for 2017.
We just have the town meeting election, right?
That's correct, we've only got one next year.
It works for me.
Works for me too.
This was a busy year.
It was. It's very difficult to train a new person during a 4-election year.
Actually, there's plenty of training opportunities.
Yeah, no, so I don't think he toughed it out pretty good.
He did, but it's, he did tough it out, but it was, he followed me blindly. He was wonderful about that, but there's so much to learn.
Fred was there, supporting too.
And Fred was there too, yes.
So do we.
Yep, no, there were lots of us there.
Yeah. So you don't need anything more on the elections in that breakdown.
Would you mind if I had it just for the record?
I mean, if you have it, I'll
I have,
happily take it,
absolutely. I didn't wanna muddy up because you guys are,
No, I mean.
know we're keeping the recycling center going with papers there.
It's job security.
Hold
Yeah,
on to
it
mine.
does.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I assume the hourly rates you included on here, you factored in that CPI as well?
I did,
It
and
looks like it.
I reviewed that with Allison as well.
Yep.
One of the tough things about, figuring for the election is, I can go on an estimate, I think it like for the town employees who set up, but I never really know afterwards, and I think I'm gonna have to work on that with you and Allison to let me know what the actual is, just for the town employees, cause I can kinda guesstimate for the
I thought Allison
moderator
gave
and.
you, I thought she gave you that number.
She did this week when I asked her, but
Okay.
I've never asked her in the past, so
Okay.
I've been
Mhm.
putting on a budget and not knowing that part of it,
Right.
the town employees, but
Yeah.
I
No,
think
the other time play we had was Brad.
Brad,
Ed worked
Ed
one
worked
of,
an hour,
part of
an hour
one
and
of
a
it,
half or
yeah.
something.
Why didn't Ed work? I mean, cause he didn't help set up.
He was, when I went over to help set up, he was there helping Brad, maybe an hour
He got
or
there
so.
late, but he was helping for a very short time, yeah.
What day was that? 'Cause I mean.
Monday, when you're setting up, Monday night?
Cause I got there, it was just Brad and I that
Well,
did
there were
the
4
song.
elections, maybe you're thinking of it, maybe it was a different one that you
Because,
weren't.
I mean, I'm talking this recent election that is in the presidential. Brad and I are the ones that set up the booths.
Then it was the primaries and
Okay, primary, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think at the primary, there were two of them over there.
Yeah, that was, I'm just saying that with the presidential, I know it was Brad and I.
Yep.
We did pretty good, I think it was like an hour and a half, we had it all up. For the most part.
And then Jared Duncan took it all down,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And then, there's miscellaneous notes that aren't in my budget because they generally fall under, the administrative end of it, Colleen.
And I'll need those.
And I will give you copies of that. And it's just kind of a reminder that when you're doing your own budget, don't forget to
Yep.
take these numbers into account.
Thank you, I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. Oh, there was one other, I asked you about the workshop for Rainy, I did not include that in there.
You asked me about the workshop already?
I emailed you.
Today?
Yesterday, there's a workshop coming up, a moderator's workshop that you really should go to, it's $60.
Okay.
It's a municipal association, and I was gonna sign him up, but it involves money, so that's,
Yep, no, he should go.
yeah, he should, he said he'd like to go, so if you could sign
And
him up,
that's next year.
January or February, that's prior to town meeting.
Do I have, who is this through, NHMA?
It was on their news link that comes out every couple weeks. And I've hooked him up with Newslink so that he will get it as well via email. One thing I did not put on that list, and I'm sure you're all aware, is in dire need of a new printer.
Yep.
As you can see. Fat
I
neighbors.
think we have written a file here.
Discussion.
Yep.
Okay. So that takes care of that part of my budget. Are you all set with that? Are you ready to move on to record preservation? Or did you have any other questions about the budget?
I don't.
Nope, I'm good.
You good? Okay. Well, the statistics I gather, I was ready for them.
Don't put them away yet, I mean,
No.
today, I'm just saying.
I'll need them for town report.
I did not, like I said, print the record preservation, it's a single line item, it's in another group of numbers.
And I
Right.
guesstimated the supplies I just ordered,
Sorry.
for record preservation.
Okay.
Is that right here?
Yes, it was 0. I did just have John reorder some things, and that's an approximate amount of what was expended. The record preservation budget is pretty modest. A few years ago, it was, we budgeted about $700 a year, and we did use the better part of that in preserving. I don't have any plans to do any big books this year, any deacidifying or any of that. I really need to do a good assessment of what we've got. So I will keep it, at 300 this year for supplies, for basic supplies. It's really a great number. Our volunteers, it's lower this year because our volunteers have not been as available as they have been in the past. So, they haven't been able to produce as much. But, I thank them all for the
Absolutely.
great service they do. They really give very unselfishly of their time. The other thing I would like to address, and I'm waiting for a quote, is we really are in need of a good, secure storage cabinet. I'm waiting for a quote from Donegan Systems on, I'm guessing $3,300 to $3,500. It would look like the one that I have now, where our oldest and most fragile records are kept. as well as all the vital records that we have, birth and marriage, death, records. Right now we have records in the vault. Traditionally, those records are kept in the custody of the town clerk, but when Irene was clerk, as you know, she was only here, she was only open a few hours a week, and so she designated the selectman's office as the keeper of the records. She kept the preservation of them, but as far as the keeping the physical records, they were kept in the vault. There's records now that are in the wooden cabinets, and that's not a good place for them. If there's a fire, they're gone. Some of those records are old enough to where they're not online, they're not on a website. To undertake the task of scanning those is monumental. I clearly don't have the staffing for that at the time. So I think until we can come up with a better digitizing plan, which as cemetery trustees, you are aware of just what a monumental task it is to get that stuff digitized.
Absolutely.
They need to be more secure. So I would like to get a fireproof, secure cabinet and get all of those records. You know, some are in wooden cabinets, some are in the vault, some are here, some are there. They need to be in one spot. They probably should be inventoried. We haven't done an inventory, full inventory of those records since 2007. It's time to do another full inventory, see if we have any holes. We also, well, that's that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
A question. Seems to me last time we talked about this, there was an issue about whether or not the building could support the weight of the cabinet and its contents.
Well, I've lost a few pounds, so that should help.
All right, good.
Um,
I have a feeling the cabinet weighs more than you.
Yeah, a lot more.
You're too kind. Where I'm thinking of putting it, if one of you wants to crawl around on the underside and check it out, right now as you walk into my office on the left-hand side, there's just a wooden table. I don't know what the structure of the floor is there. I know that for the cabinet that we did get in the past, Kyle had gone in and shored that up. I don't know how deep how much space is under there, or how much we can wedge.
It's been years since I've been in the basement, so I don't recall.
That's a good point, Tom. It'd certainly be something
Yeah, I mean,
to check
just wondering,
into.
'cause I know we talked about it last time we kicked on the
It was on,
cabinet.
I recall it
I
was
would
concern of ours.
hate to lose records because, you know, we didn't shore up the floor, and if it needs shoring up for that, it probably could use shoring up anyway. So once I get that price from Donegan Systems, I'll present that to you.
Excuse me.
Can I ask a question? Since I'm here so many hours and 5 days a week, how is that gonna work with the departments that need to access those records on a daily basis?
Well, I think you and I are gonna have to work on some way of doing that, whether we start the process of getting them photocopied and duplicate set made. Currently, have those other volumes shown up yet?
Volumes?
The selectmen's meeting minutes from 2002,
No, just one is missing.
just one is missing.
Yeah, the planning board one.
So the planning board missed,
Yeah.
so the selectmen's were
The
returned.
last time, the odd thing is that those same two binders were the same two that were requested of the theater restoration group, and they were doing some minutes research, and you were assisting them with that. And, I'm not sure if it's just not clearly marked on the outside of the binder, but I've been able to find that.
And that's a concern as well. I mean, fire is one concern, but right now we've just gotten so big and so many people, there's no, I don't wanna use the word control, but you know what I mean? There's just no check and balance on it, and people borrow them, and for research, you're right, for research, and then they forget, and they shove them in a closet or whatever, and now we're missing minutes, and that can't be.
So if I understand this correctly, we don't have any process in place to take and,
Signing them up?
yeah, like signing in, signing out?
Correct, we do
managing-
not, and it should be done through no more than 2 people. They really need to be more controlled, those are permanent records.
Oh, no, we
I
should have
was
a process in
reading-
place that needs to be followed, so we don't lose it.
Right, so I read somewhere, I was just in all of my reading on records, that, it's a misdemeanor to take, town records out of state.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's never, it's not intentional, but it's research and people forget. But what a loss if something like that isn't returned. I mean, those were 2002.
Yep.
So at least a lot of those are on the website or whatever, but what about those older ones that aren't, and we could never recover them?
Well, it'd be nice
It's
to know
time.
if we could track down who might have them and
But,
get that.
I mean, certainly put the word out and absolutely offer a forgiveness thing, you know, stick it in the brown envelope on your desk or something, but it's more important to get them back than to know
Yeah.
who took them.
I don't know that it
Is
matters,
it-
yeah. The who doesn't matter.
I know that during the course of the days, and I've been here since 2003, and working in that office since 2008, there's nothing that leaves this office that comes out of that vault unless it's on the table and it gets returned to the vault.
Right, but that clearly isn't the case, because something's not in the vault.
That's your
So how many
procedure.
other
Pardon?
things?
That's your procedure, correct?
Right.
Yep.
So,
And we have nothing documented as in for other staff
Yep.
and the
Yep.
records
Yeah,
itself.
they don't sign
so
it out.
that would
Well,
bring
my
me to the.
question is it possible, you know, and you're using those minutes from 2002 that someone borrowed, so when they're coming in, can they have you make copies of those minutes? I mean, most places charge you so much a page, rather than taking the document out of the building,
Yeah, the document
so you're
shouldn't
still
leave
retaining the building.
Well,
Yeah,
I know for a fact that those specific binders, those two, from 2002, were removed from my office to go to your office to work with the
Right.
theater restoration group. Now,
Right.
whether they ever went
And
back,
I
I have
put
no
them
idea,
back.
cause I can't watch.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
that's why it would be a good thing to have a system in place. But ultimately, the town clerk is the keeper of the records, so ultimately, I mean, we'll decide together and we'll reach an agreement, but there just can't be any more just checking them out. We really have to keep controls on them. We've got so many committees now, and people are doing research about other buildings in town or other things that have happened in town that we all tie in. So it's
Have
really
we looked
important.
at having that stuff digitized and so it's available?
Well, most of
Have we
it from
looked
like
at that?
2002 on is now on the
All
website.
digitized, yeah.
It's on the website.
So-
Every now and then we have to get on Dan's case because there's a link that's broken.
Something goes bad, yeah.
And you can't read them, but I
Right, you can
got
fix
him to correct that, so Margaret Watkins was able to look at those minutes.
But we don't have an
online.
archive itself strictly for digitized records. We-
I mean, how would you do it? I mean, you would have to scan them and you
Oh,
put
you have
something
to
in
take
a
it
Well, I
scanner.
somewhere and have it
mean,
done,
just even
right?
take the current ones that are on the website, I mean, if we have a separate archive, you know, that's a secure server or some sort that, you know, in case the websites can go down, they can get
If those, we
Yeah.
have,
broken links that
We
can be
have-
repaired.
memory on our server on the cloud, and,
So it's out there.
it's out there,
Okay.
and our
So we
server
back
gets
up.
backed up on the cloud all the time, so if it's a record that is scanned and or,
I thought so.
then as long as it's on our P drive and not on a desk drive, our desktop, then we have some record out on the cloud that's being used.
Good.
Now, if it
Thought
starts
we
to
did,
exceed a
but-
gigabyte, we have to increase
Yeah,
that
gotta
in the
increase it,
future.
sure.
Yeah, we start digitizing records and you put them out on the cloud, it's gonna go,
You lead up a
It-
server pretty
exactly.
fast.
And even when you scan a document, it labels it scan number 00123 and the next one is 00124. How are you gonna know when you're looking at a bunch of numbers?
Well,
well, a lot of
So
times
there's
we,
indexing and there's,
Yeah, you have to
it's
rename.
more in,
the machines are like I have at work, you know, you just hit scan and you hit the correct folder you wanna go into, and then you can just hit the file name, and you can actually type it right on the screen.
and that's what I do with mine.
Yeah, and you do it right then and there, so you know
Yeah.
exactly what it is, scan it, it's got it's already named, you don't have to go back and try
but
to
if
figure
you're
it out.
talking about putting them on the website, then not everybody has that capability for them. Anyway,
no.
this right now is a discussion that is better saved for later.
Yeah.
And I will bring up the fact that we are supposed to have a municipal records board within the town.
We
And
do. We just haven't met.
once we get past, we've gotten past 4 elections, when it gets past the budget or whatever, we do need to address that.
Yeah,
and
we
put
just
that
haven't, we
together.
just haven't met yet.
And I think that's how we're going to solve a lot of the questions that you all are bringing up right now. It's really important that we get on that. I did notice while I was going through the minutes, and I'll bring this up now, while I was going through and doing some research, there are a lot of handwritten notes on the official minutes. Those are official forever minutes, and Lean, you should remind everybody, from people who borrow them to people who file them. Absolutely nothing should be written on those papers except
You
the
talking the minutes
signatures.
themselves?
The minutes themselves, just little notes in the columns or whatever. I will not certify
Yeah.
minutes
I know
that
that
have
the past
handwritten
board
notes on
members
them.
used to correct the minutes and then sign them.
If
And-
they initial where the correction is, but if somebody asks me for a certified copy of minutes, I have no idea who approved the handwritten. They're
If they
just,
were even approved.
exact,
Yeah,
so.
when they happened.
When did they happen?
Yeah.
Did they happen after they were signed? So please, no one should be, your signatures are the only things that should be on those minutes, and you should pass that on to anybody who handles those volumes.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything recent, but I
Because
have
they
noticed that
they are forever
past minutes, there were
documents.
some that were corrected, like, I remember Chuck Grable had one correction
Mhm.
on a
Oh,
document.
yeah, remember we corrected them, here on the tables, right then and there, and stuff like that,
The
It
board,
should
when we
show.
put it together, we
Right.
can come up with
Yeah.
a policy
Or
on that as
initial
well.
the change.
Yep. Well, if you're approving a set of minutes and you make a pen and ink correction right then and there, it should be reflected in the
In
next
following
minutes,
weeks,
the minutes of
yes.
that meeting that
Yep,
the
that
pen
was
and ink
correct.
correction is done,
Exactly.
so
Yep.
you should have a
There should
track.
always, yes, there should be a counterbalance here.
Mhm.
Excuse me, just, Donna is my counterpart here for record preservation. I didn't know if she wanted to add anything to our discussion. I kinda left her out of it. She's an integral part of, filling in a lot of the holes in our history with what she does for me.
Not to
Repetitive
minimize your thing, but
yeah.
we're running out of time,
Yeah,
because we
no
gotta.
problem. I just wanted to reiterate what she said, that the 300 was a very reasonable amount, and the fireproof's sake, I could give you, if I won't get into details, but I could give you at least 3 instances where things have disappeared from the town vault.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
At least 3 instances where, the best instance, where something has disappeared from the town vault within the last 10 years, as best we can figure, and we don't know where it is. It's a one-of-a-kind thing. Luckily, I stumbled across, I was beginning to think it didn't exist. Luckily, I stumbled across a photocopy of it in Bud Noyce's documents. So that, along with other things, through the years, things have disappeared, and I can track them up to a certain point, because they're mentioned here, there, and everywhere else, but security is a real issue. You have a lot of one-of-a-kind, irreplaceable documents.
Well, we've had the same issue with our, zoning ordinances and they're supposed to be certified by the town clerk, and we can't go to you and find the originals.
Because Irene always gave Janice everything, so once again, we're back to the vault. Janice was the keeper of, Irene I've given you everything I have.
Things
from
go home
Irene's.
too.
Yes.
A former selectman gave me something a while before he died. Oh, you might want this. It was the original copy of the town's flood control program with all the big black and white glossy photos. It was the only copy. And I brought it into Linda and I said, Linda, is this what I think it is? And she said, yeah, it's our copy. And she said, where'd you get it? And I said, I don't want to say because it was given over, but somebody really needs to talk to the family about going through what's left in the house. There's stuff out there. People give me things and I bring them in. Someone brought her in a whole box of vital records they found in their attic. It happens. It's,
Oh, yeah, I know.
no one's
Back in the
stealing.
day,
It's
yeah.
only since I've been here that all the records were not kept in this building.
No.
Because Allison, maybe a couple of years into my employment here, trucked she brought
Yeah.
a dozen boxes of zoning.
There's still
and
things
planning.
out there, and luckily, I stumble across it because I'm doing so much research and I'm asking questions, and I bring this stuff into Linda when it's recovered. But security is an issue.
I appreciate that information, but I think this is a discussion for another time. But
Okay.
Okay.
We gotta keep on going on the agenda here. Thank you.
Anything else for me?
Well, go ahead.
Are you
Bob,
good?
you
Public
good?
comment from you, you good?
Hmm?
Are you public commenting for each
No.
department as they go through or no?
Nope.
Okay.
There's one at the beginning, one at the end. John, you're next.
I make a motion to adjourn. Just kidding. Hi, John. Hi.
All right, John also presents presented us with, and I put two of them on one sheet so we can see it in a bigger font.
Yep.
Oh,
This
okay,
is part of his discussion as well.
Okay, right, I have three things. One is library porch lighting, the quotes I got for that.
Which one's this?
Oh, the doorway? Yeah.
We already gone through that with the library folks.
What all happened with that?
We're gonna try to take and, see if we have the money in the current budget and encumber the funds and get it going sooner than later. Because by the time we go through the town meeting process, it will be April before we get someone out there to work on the lights.
And it is a issue of.
Exactly. The only thing we need from you folks would be, well, my understanding is that they wanna take and change the, configuration from a motion sensor to a timer or something like that.
Yeah.
So we need an updated quote to reflect those changes, and then once we have that, then we're off to the races.
Yeah, the quotes, I got the email I sent out, which I should have brought.
Right, you get Preferred Electric, you get Dodge, you get R&T.
Right, but the
Was it already?
the RFQ they received.
Yeah.
Was, it said the sensing and control, and it's basically it's the same fixtures, both, as are on these doors here.
Yep.
The outer one is exactly the same part number, just with a different mounting bracket, but it is a dusk to dawn. I spoke with the neighbors and whatnot, and they are very, very pleased with this. They would rather not have a motion sensor, because when it goes on and off, it is really, so dusk to dawn, and then a motion on the one up under, just like here. Okay, so that is what their quotes reflect. And so, I'd like to get moving on this and try to get something done quick. Right now, they are all taking, scheduling basically into January now. One of them may be sooner. So if we wait another 2 or 3 weeks, then we're into February. Right, so I am kind of pushing for, the last time I went through something like this, or saw things like this working, was a different policy from now, where if there was a issue of maintenance, something broke, which is essentially what has happened here. You just called somebody and they fixed it, right? But now it does go out for quotes, right?
Oh, purchasing.
Yes and no, you're in the threshold for quotes, but it can be worked out to get repaired immediately, but we overspent the budget for the roof, so that's why a lot of the
Okay.
things that we wanted to do, the
We can
wish
have
list,
numbers.
were
Yeah.
put on hold.
Yeah.
And that's why we're asking for numbers, and we're gonna look at the expenditures today.
And my understanding is the lights still, they do work currently, but they're just not very good at it, and the timer is kinda screwed up, so.
Well, the two post lights.
That's a driveway, right?
What?
The driveway lamps?
No, they're on the ramp.
On the ramp,
Right. There was one over the basement entry, and that one there provided lighting for someone arriving in a car to get up onto the porch
at which point the, under the porch light would come on.
Mhm.
Right now, that area over there is dark.
Okay.
Right, so, cause the fixture that was there failed, I changed bulbs in it three times. And then I finally started to wiggle the switches for setting time and sensitivity and whatnot, and they would barely move, so.
Okay.
We basically have a failed fixture here, so that's what I wanted to, that's why I'm pushing for finding a way to get this done as soon as possible.
So we just, we can get some numbers just so we don't,
Yep.
say think it's gonna be $800 and it comes out to be $1,800 and.
That's why you got these quotes.
Yes, we do, but I mean, now that you're changing the scope of it though, cause
No.
yeah, they're looking for motion sensors in the quotes and they're looking for a timer. They don't want motion sensors.
Library wants a timer in the
They want
basement.
a timer, or actually, I think they want a timer up in the first floor. So that changes the whole
That's,
scope of it.
yeah, and that's a two-sided issue because there's a timer wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But other times there are complaints about having to constantly be adjusting the timer because darkness happens at a different time.
Well, she was here today and said that she don't have a problem with that. She
Okay,
understands
well.
that, it'll be seasonal, so,
And-
if I may, John, just, as we're running out of time, we have a time on us for 9:30, and we still have a boatload of other stuff to go on, so get with them, figure out exactly who needs, what you guys need, and let us know, and let's get it done.
Get with who?
Library, so you guys are on the same page.
Make sure that everybody's in
Oh, all
agreement
right.
with what they want.
Yep.
I didn't know that was an
Yep.
issue, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So these
I
quotes
just wanna make sure
are
everyone's on the
for
same
a sensor, correct?
Yeah.
And tonight they said that they had seen these quotes, but they wanted, and the board asked them to see if it affects the number, because obviously there's different
Yeah.
parts involved, that they wanna get a timer. So
Timer,
these
yeah.
3 quotes with a
Yep.
timer rather than a sensor.
Yeah, and their plan was to have it, on half hour, at dusk and then half hour beyond closing time. That's what they were talking about tonight.
So at dusk plus time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't want a motion sensor, cause they want the on and off.
yeah,
Oh,
like,
no.
yeah, they don't want that.
And that I agree with fully. What is out here is a dusk to dawn sensor.
Right.
And the neighbors are very, very pleased with it.
I understand.
And that was the issue over here.
Yeah.
So I will attempt to convince, and if I can't, then we go with what
Yeah,
they want.
yeah, and then get quotes that support whatever is at the other side.
Yeah, so I will try to get on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Cause we realize it's a safety issue
Yep.
and such like that, we wanna be,
Yeah.
proactive as much as possible.
And speaking of the neighbors, that is the input I used to define what I was gonna ask for with their quotes. So
Okay.
I need to find out what are the other factors that are involved that are causing that change.
Alright, so that's the first one, what's the second thing? So we have 3.
Yep.
Let's stick with the library, with the parking lot, and then we'll move on to the garage, town garage.
I was going to do,
Yeah,
while we're on the
library.
library, yeah.
Yes, please.
Because I had my head all wrapped around this, so give me about 15 seconds or so.
Okay.
I was all set to, go out and get quotes for, what I will title the library parking lot lighting, okay? And, I had a lighting diagram done, and then I also did a couple myself showing lights at each corner versus one in the middle. In the middle up high, there's currently a mercury or a metal, fixture. I don't know where it's wired or where to switch. This, one here shows, a pattern using just that one. Replacing it with a similar fixture to what is out here on the pole. This one over here shows, one on each corner. It spreads the light further. It's on a, my thought was that it is turned on whenever.
Yep.
Okay, just gonna get those.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a dusk to dawn sensor.
That's just one light, and this is the two lights.
Oh, okay.
Or you could hook it up to the same timer that you do the stairs with.
Well,
I'm
I
just
had
kidding,
a
just kidding.
Oh, I know, thank you. My thought was, those have gotta be on only when there are people in the library when it's open. So if there is a dusk to dawn sensor on it, and then the power to that, the circuit comes from one of the switches inside the library. So when they turn on one of those switches, that activates that circuit. And if they turn it on at 10 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon, or right? Because there is a dusk to dawn sensor involved, those are not going to come on, right? But when they turn on the lights inside, that will activate that circuit, and then the lights at dusk will come on, and when they go home, they turn off that inside lighting switch, and that turns off the lot lighting.
So when the lights are dark in the building, it's dark outside.
Right.
But you now have an employee or whatever that needs to exit the building.
Right.
In the dark.
But.
Is that a good idea?
Well, you got the one that's on the timer on the
I
stairs.
suppose, yeah.
That's supposed to be a half hour after close.
Yeah.
Right. And one reason I wanted to go with the dusk to dawn on it is that has worked out well over here. Plus also, if you have it set on a timer and somebody winds up staying later, they are out in the dark.
Right.
I just want that to be lit. But before I went and got more defined costs on this, I heard from Mary, who was here last week. She had mentioned or something like that, and she said one or two of you had broached the subject about we ought to be looking at the lights on the common.
And so the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Oh, the overall.
Yeah, the overall area.
So at that point I said, okay, I'm going to stop this particular effort, get a reading for what you envision, so this isn't something that has to be undone or doesn't fit the final plan.
Yeah, I think I was the one that kind of brought that up, John, is that, we have the one light out here now that's, worked out pretty good. But, maybe it's a bigger lighting project than, we're kind of piecemealing it, I guess is my thought. So maybe just as we look as a bigger project, instead of us doing a little piece here and then a little piece there, it's just a bigger piece. That's what I was thinking.
And it can still be done piece by piece, but if you develop an overall plan,
right,
and then implement this piece
implement
when
the
you
pieces
need
that you need first.
right, and so that's the information. I don't think I really expect you to tell me what your final wants on that are, but if you want to write down and give me some info, I can, work out a plan, with lighting diagrams, the, type of fixtures needed to cover this and what it was before, and then come back to you.
Yep, cause at the moment, none of the plans talk about lighting on the front of the building, on the street side of the building, 13 side.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, that would be emergency lighting anyway, I would think, if
Yeah,
they had to
light
get out
up
of the
there.
building in a hurry.
It's not lit right now, is it?
Looks dark to me.
Yeah,
it's not
there,
gonna-
It's off to
Yeah.
that one side.
there are, lights in the, two entries, and that's another thing that they mentioned, those are on a switch. They would really like to have those on the same type of, say, motion sensor
sensors, yeah.
as, these up under ones here are.
Yeah,
I thought we had, lighting on the ground that shined up at the flag.
yeah, there is one,
The
well,
front of the
actually, so I
building.
think it's mounted to
Kinda
a flagpole.
shines, yeah, but
Yeah.
it shines towards the building, so.
Well, just,
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, you know,
Yeah.
if you're using that building and you need to get out of it in the dark, and let's just say power goes out, you know, there's, not that you have emergency lighting, but there's nothing there now, you come out of it and you know, stumbling.
Well, we should have emergency lighting inside.
Yeah, inside, right.
Like we have-
Remember in the old days, people had candles?
Yes.
No, today we have the cell phone app,
Yeah, that helps.
There's an app for that, yeah.
there is an app for that.
So, what's the, what do you envision as a plan for looking at the common lighting, so I can get?
Well, I would think you look at it as a bigger project, maybe another light on the end of this building, you know, we talked about it before.
Yeah, and so if, I'm thinking we can either do this formally in a meeting, or, you all got my email address, so you could just kind of, individually, give me, ideas you have, right? So, essentially, we would be functioning sort of like a committee, and then we would, once all of those ideas are gathered, get together, talk it out, and say, yes, this and not that, and whatever.
Can I just point out that, from what, we didn't see that diagram that you have right there. And
I'm
you're
sorry, yeah.
displaying one light versus two lights, so
Right.
I think this is what this is showing,
It's
two lights, yet this piece is showing one light, and then this piece is starring by the two light, which is 4,000. So, this is coinciding with the lower one, which is
Right.
one light,
Right.
but I don't think you're recommending it, I think you're recommending two lights, so I think we need to talk,
Yeah,
clarify it.
when I presented that, I had a case A and a case B and a case C. A was the short term, let's get this thing fixed.
Yeah, and we're still, you know, we're still going that way,
Right,
with the short term.
and B was two lights, and C was one, which was attractive because it was a little bit lower, cost and whatnot. But, that was really early on in the, thinking process for me and others. I'm starting to lean towards the two, to be, sure we covered that. Also, if the library project or town hall project goes forward, and there is a, piece added on the back of that building, right? If there are, lights already installed at the corners, you, don't have to take all that apart and put on a new one for that, that type, you know.
I mean, I understand where Tom's coming from, and I don't disagree, we probably should have a whole plan that's in this whole area. No, let's not go crazy and put lights everywhere.
No.
You know, because it'll be for safety purposes and just,
Right.
but we also have to, I think, include the town hall restoration folks and part of this discussion as well, because you don't know what their game plan is to propose, and it may get accepted, it may not, but, I mean, we need to be cognizant of that, I think,
Yep.
Yeah.
before we go off half-cocked here and end up having to rip out half the stuff we
Yeah, don't go spending 10 grand, so you take it apart next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts with
Right,
yours,
no,
sir.
I agree that this is premature
Mhm.
as far as the outside lighting.
Yeah.
Then we get a consensus as to what direction they're gonna go in. I mean, not saying that the two spots aren't valid,
Oh,
as you
absolutely.
pointed out,
Mhm.
but they're not gonna get to that in the very near future,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, my thought, I had planned on going to them, right? I'm on that committee anyhow, you know.
Perfect.
But
You're on their agenda.
But my thought was, I heard that there was an interest in here
Mhm.
about doing something. That's a piece of input.
Our interest was more the safety factor of the stairs and the entrance and all
The
that,
ramp,
and the ramp
yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right, but then looking at the overall common lighting and you had mentioned the one down on the end and whatnot,
Mhm.
then,
Yeah.
then the front light.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, just note all those down
Excuse me.
Okay.
and pop me
Mhm.
an
Absolutely.
email. You are one of the sources,
Mhm.
right? Users ought to have a strong say
Yeah.
in this.
Oh, yeah, let's get the stakeholders to weigh in on
Yep.
it, that's for sure.
Right.
Exactly.
So I happen to be here now, so that's why I'm asking you, and then I'm
Okay.
apparently
Yep.
asking them.
That sounds like a plan. Let's start moving.
Okay.
So we're gonna move on to the town garage?
Yep.
Not that I'm trying to rush you, John, but we
Oh, no.
still got a long list of stuff to
And,
go.
I am trying to get through it without.
No, this is all good
without-
information, and we do appreciate your hard work on it.
Yep.
I'm not trying to minimize you or
Oh, no.
marginalize you at all.
Yeah, you do a good job with this stuff.
No, that's for sure. So what are we looking at?
Look, it's the total installed cost column, 4 from the right.
Garage, shelf, exterior, okay, existing
13
400 watts, 150 watt quartz, 8-foot T12s, yard blocks, 175 watt HID.
Something went wrong on my printer because I didn't get it all the way across when I
That's
hit
why
that,
I
printer.
couldn't read it in that size paper, so I said, I gotta do it on a big one, and I was able to get 2
Yeah.
on one.
The thoughts,
Got a question for you.
yes,
Like, going across the top here, you have existing mounting that has its existing quantity, and that's 10, so if I understand this correctly, on line 1, garage, 400 watt, metal halide, we have 10 of them?
I think it's 400 watt. Nobody has
Take up the
come
time,
out.
but I mean, my question is, do we have 10 of them?
Yes,
Okay, because then you have the input watts, I wasn't sure if you're doing the multiplication out on that, because 10 times 455 is not 280. I know those are hours, but I didn't know if you're doing the
Oh.
actual wattage
No,
somewhere along here. So I see is dollars.
yeah, see here, it says input watts of 455,
Right.
and then over in the blue,
we don't have color, sorry, John.
Color.
okay, proposed watts, 113
Proposed
Okay.
per
Okay.
lamp.
Per lamp,
Gotcha.
And if the existing lamps are 250s, then the proposed wattage over here drops by the same margin, same per
Okay.
26.
percentage. Okay?
So we're gonna be saving, so in theory, we save 3.42 kilowatts.
Right, and
Savings at 12 cents per kilo.
and we will actually be saving more than that, I believe. Because, remember the demand charge issue?
Yeah.
Okay, that is, if there is, 5,000 watts drawn for more than a 15 minute period.
Yep.
And it's 15 or 30 minutes, people within the same office, I wasn't able to pin them down to either number, that they don't really interest, but you know, but the idea is that if the level spent on the lighting is lower, that means when a motor runs, it might not trip it over the 5 kW as much. So the savings that are shown here are strictly based on the lower wattage, right? And what's the payback? Way over on the right-hand column?
3.7.
Years, right. So,
That's years?
15 years, so.
Yeah, I read those years.
Yeah.
right. And so, if
That's not bad.
if this affects the demand charges, right, which it should, it'll, payback will be something less than 3.7 years.
Can I ask a dumb question?
It might not be done, chief.
Well, you've got total install cost of basically 13 grand.
Right.
Estimated incentive at 6.4 grand. So the adjusted initial install cost is 6.4. The 6.4 grand that's estimated incentive, that's money coming back or rebates or
That is money we don't pay.
we don't pay?
That is a rebate at the time of purchase.
Rebate for the lamps?
For the job, yeah.
For the job.
Okay, now does total
Lamps.
install cost include actually installing the electrician coming in? Okay. So we have to pay 12 grand or 13 grand
No, it's the,
6, aren't you?
or the 6 grand?
six. It's the same program we had when we did the gym lighting
Mhm.
project.
So we're gonna spend 6, but we're gonna save 13.
No,
No.
that's it.
Are we saving 13 and spending 6?
Well, the grand total, if I understand, is 13, we're gonna save 6.4, and we're gonna take and save 6.4, spend and save, it's almost
Right.
split in half,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Looks like it's 50% savings.
Yeah,
just
that's
about,
what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
In the purchase.
And,
Right.
you know, the purchase, purchase and
With
installation,
the
right?
incentive, it's called,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Is there a time limit when you can have to take advantage of this?
The funds in 16 are gone, and now they are
Working on 17?
right. And I would get this in earlier in 17 because the funds will run out.
Now, is this a
Mark
grant,
Roberts
those
here.
funds? How does that work? Is it a
Reggie,
grant?
right?
It's Reggie.
Oh, Reggie?
Yeah.
Yep. It's funded by Reggie if the legislature doesn't refuse to accept Reggie funds again. But they were
That's a
okay
good
with
question.
keeping on paying.
Yeah.
There is, the state signed a contract that they have to pay into Reggie.
Mm.
But that there was a vote at one point
Yes. I remember
not
hearing
to
about that.
accept the money. So,
And then I think they changed their vote afterwards or something.
yeah, but you just,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
it's more of just grandstanding.
earlier in the year will be a better time to do it, more
More funds
chance,
available.
right,
So-
chance of getting the rebate. Otherwise, if you wait until after the rebate, the fund is depleted, now you are waiting until the next year to start this. And I think you
Now,
would
all of
like
these
to get
fixtures
started.
and things, what's the life expectancy on those? Are they like something last 10, 20 years, or are they less than that?
Oh, the lamps that are in there now are rated at 8 or 10,000 hours. These are rated the numbers vary by the fixture, but typically the very shortest life is 40,000 hours.
Oh, wow.
Typically,
Long
it's most of them are closer to 80,000
the LED lights I put in my fuel sites.
Yep.
They're rated for, I forget how many thousand hours, but it works out, if you average it out at 12 hours every day that they
Yep.
burn, they last 30 years.
Wow. Wow.
nice.
Yeah. Good.
They pay for themselves within a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice, and then after that, it's all just gravy time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was, I'll just sidestep briefly, people like the incandescent lights and want all these newfangled lights and whatnot, but,
I like the LED lights, I think they're pretty
we
sharp.
did the math, and sure, the old ones are cheaper and whatnot, but the number of those you are gonna have to buy
Mhm.
to equal life
Yeah.
was,
Much more expensive.
yes,
The
Absolutely.
initial expense for the LED
Yeah.
seems like a lot more,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
actually
yeah.
over time, it's a lot less.
and plus,
Saving juice.
Yeah.
plus you are
Yeah.
using
Your monthly
one,
bill.
Less electricity.
1/8 of the power or anyhow, you know.
So I mean, at this point in time, you're looking at 3.7 years of a payback, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's pretty good.
Yes,
Say 4 years, that's not bad.
Yeah.
so at this point, I leave it up to you. How this works, by the way, these figures are from a vendor,
Mhm.
okay? But Eversource has vendors who are eligible to do this and qualify
Just
for
like
the
they did for
rebate.
the retrofit here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess the question for the board is, do you wanna do this as a warrant, which I personally don't recommend, I think this is a maintenance thing.
Yeah,
should
this,
probably
to me,
budget something like this in our
I could
building
see it
maintenance.
I could see it going either way, if this was a larger number,
I
I
could
would
see a
lean more
warrant,
towards a warrant,
yeah,
but,
but this is very reasonable for maintenance of a
yeah, for the
building.
you know,
maintenance,
for
yeah.
6,500 bucks, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, Bob, I mean.
Put it in the budget, or,
I say budget.
Yeah, you know, it would probably be good, and, cause I'm just thinking a little further, is,
Mhm.
there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to get fixed.
mm-hmm,
So it'd be nice to see it in the budget,
mm-hmm,
and see what, we could imagine what it's like out of the budget, in the event
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
in
Yeah,
the event
that's
that
good.
that number looks a lot bigger than
Yeah.
we're thinking.
that's a good idea.
But to be very honest, I mean, as far as, and we gotta start spending some money for maintenance, and
Yeah,
not keep pushing it down the
that's
road.
right.
We've done
Yeah,
this.
that'd
Can't
be a
start in a
big
rust.
savings, that'd be a big savings at the
Yeah.
town garage,
Mhm.
cause we're talking about how many hours
Mhm.
these last,
Yeah.
and how much time are they really there?
Yeah.
So, it's only when they're in use,
And that's usually the winter time and it's the darkest
Right.
period, so
Yeah.
they're gonna be on the most of the
you
winter.
know,
Yeah.
so,
And there's all those demand charges that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So-
Yeah, and it isn't, to Bob's point, you know, Jeff and his crew isn't sitting in that building, they're out somewhere,
Yeah.
plowing.
Okay, oh, that's good.
But on the other hand, if you look at the bills,
Oh, yeah.
there's a fair amount of electricity that's
Yep.
that's being spent.
Well,
I agree, I think.
So
I
are
think
we
it's
okay
pretty
with him pursuing the grant,
Yeah.
applying?
I would think so.
Because last time we came forward with the solar idea, I think we were a little bit behind the 8 ball for
Yes.
Yeah, we were
getting,
scrambling right there.
Well, there was a
Final
lot
number.
still unanswered questions regarding like roof and the life of the roof left and all that
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
stuff, but this is
but this is, you know, we're in,
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
this
in
is,
early December, so it'd be nice to have a committed grant
Mm-hmm.
that we
Well, at
qualify
least have it
for,
in
and then we
process,
can,
Yeah,
then
I
we
mean,
can make a decision on.
Because if we did have to go warrant article, it'd be nice to say, okay, we're gonna raise and appropriate 12,000 with a grant for 6, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna have to pay out 6.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have that, and, you know.
the school did it on a warrant article as
Hmm.
I recall, but,
Yeah, they only usually have 10 people that show up to their meetings, we don't.
you know.
So we get a lot more
So-
questions.
Anyhow, figure it out and tell me what you want me to do, I'll do it.
What do you think?
How you.
I say move project, move ahead on this
Yeah.
one.
I think it's
Yeah.
unanimous
Yeah.
on consent, that it
Yeah.
was.
Good job.
No, I think this is a great one.
Yes, I mean, this is kudos to the engineering committee and yourself, sir, I mean, this
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, it's gonna save us money in
Yeah.
the long
Yeah.
run, big time.
Well, 3.7 years out, it'll start to save.
Well, that's pretty quick though.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, on really kind of short money too,
Yeah.
6
And we're
grand or
doing our,
so.
and doing our point that they
Yeah.
can reduce, you know, electricity use, fossil fuels, all that good stuff. I mean, however you wanna wrap it around that
Yeah.
talking point, I mean, it's a good thing.
Well, at the same time, you know, they're looking at replacing lights there.
You have to do
So
it.
you're not duplicating,
No.
change a
Yeah,
light
yeah.
and then replace a light.
Yeah, it's not like we're wasting
So-
brand new lights that we just put in.
It would be
Also-
nice too to get the buildings to a point where we're not taking somebody's old fixtures and moving it into other fixtures.
Yeah, well, this is, they've been already been recycled, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
So they're on their way out.
yeah.
Cool.
All right, John.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
John.
Thank you, John.
We appreciate that, sir.
John,
All right, Recreation Committee,
this one's gonna be quick. If
I
you
assume
see
you're
the-
the Recreation Committee today?
If you look at the,
No answer, huh?
I am, kind of, if you look at the email attached to that budget,
Yeah.
that was her response to my saying there was only 2 dates available, please choose one. And she responded with the above, that she would like to keep the budget as it was from prior year.
Okay.
So, I included all the account lines, even the ones that didn't have budgets lines in there. They only ended up, they were hoping to do a number of rec excursions, but they only ended up with the Christmas one, which is usually a big hit. I
Now
think
you talking
it's
about the bus trip?
the bus trip, yeah,
We had 21 people.
yeah,
It was nice. It was good fun.
yeah,
Good weather.
yeah, and I think, everybody
Enjoyed it.
is pleased with the rate that they charge.
Yeah, I mean, can't beat it. $10 a head, it's $5 down, $5 back.
Yep, yep,
Mighty bus.
No parking garage.
yeah.
No
Yeah.
parking garage, exactly. Nope, we dropped you off in a good location, picked you up in a good location.
And as far as the group count numbers, I just added the old home day down below because they were in a few weeks back and asked for $5 grand, so for this recreation.
Now, there was some discussion the other week about fireworks
Correct,
and how it's a draw, so the fireworks aren't making it back into,
that's
nobody's throwing
old
that back
home day,
in.
that committee came forward and said, we want to try to spend a little bit more
Alright.
on entertainment
Music and
for a
entertainment.
longer
I
period
like
of
that.
time,
Good
and
idea.
then work it into, the evening events, which might be
The
the
draw
historical
for the-
society. Right, and then maybe ask them to start their meal a little earlier so that it works together, so that's
Alright.
where they were looking for.
Okay.
Refresh my memory here, if we may, the, 7,500, oh, let's see, does that include the warrant article added in?
What warrant article?
Remember we had a warrant article last year that added money
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah, I think if I look at the account, it was $1,000 left.
So it was like $2,000 we added in.
Well, it might be. I'm gonna look.
So they have a budget here for the old home day
Yep,
of 3,500.
last year, that was 2016, or this current year.
Correct, and they spent 2,497, let's say 2,500.
Yep, yep.
Do they directly impact the old home day committee that raises their own budget besides? Cause, you know, we heard from John what he was looking for.
Right, no, actually, this is actually a group of accounts that falls under the rec committee definition. It's
Okay.
4520 is the DRA category for, rec excursions type thing. We happen to have one line that's called Old Home Day that's dedicated specifically for just the, Old Home Day event.
Yeah.
It's in this group of accounts.
Yeah, they just don't have their own standalone
That's
budget.
right, that's
Yeah.
why
It's basically
it's
two
shown
groups
here, and I
using
just
the
wanted
same.
you to see that overall, the rec committee is asking for $4,000, which includes $300 for Memorial Day. Every year we have the band
Yeah.
come in for $300, and then the rec committee is asking for $500, which is $1,500 more than 2016's. Is it?
And while I understand all, I'm looking at, for the excursions, they had 3,300.
Yeah.
They spent 605, which
Yeah.
is way under the
Yeah.
budget.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
When they presented their budget last year, they had mentioned to the selectmen they were hoping to do 2 or maybe 3
Right.
of those, and they never made it.
But even at that point, you're running around, from the looks of the participation,
Yep,
you're running, I'll say $2,000. I'll go
okay.
that far. So I'm just Yeah, and I know it's, you know, it's nickels and dimes,
Yep.
but it's nickels and dimes.
Yeah, 'cause
you know?
3 at that
It's
price
nickels
would
and
be
dimes to
18.
get down to a dollar.
Yep, 3 excursions at that cost would be $1,815, so, yep, 2 grand would
You know,
cover that.
So I'm just, and I guess this is preliminary, so I'm
Mhm.
getting ahead of myself.
Yep,
But
no,
I'm just looking at the numbers and
no, that's a
some of
good
it,
point.
you know, just,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, if you're not using it now, and we don't know what direction you're going in, I mean, they could be planning on 3, do 2 and exhaust the money and say, hey, you know what, we have to ask for more money the following year, but it just seems a little premature to, when you're that small, when you spent that far under your budget,
Yep.
you know, by increasing it
Yep.
Slightly more, so they can do 2 or 3
Okay.
around that expense.
Yep, yep, because they, right away, your old home day's asking for 1,500, so that's almost a wash for a flat budget, if you include all those accounts.
Oh, last year it was 5,500, and that, and now we're gonna amend it on the floor at town meeting to add 2,000 to it.
Yep.
That's where you get 7,500.
Yep, that's right, so that's where the amendment came in.
Right, so, I mean, they upped it 2 grand, and, I mean, all things being what they are.
We were
But to
right on the
be-
mark
yeah.
originally.
But to be
Yeah.
very honest, if they did that,
Yep.
that's their choice.
Mhm.
You know, we
Yeah.
can present a budget,
Yeah.
and if they wanna amend it and increase it,
Yeah.
that's their choice. But I
Absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely.
The voters rule.
Yeah, no, absolutely, they raise their own taxes that way, absolutely. And that's that's really why they vote. So, I guess the point being is just that,
I don't know that there's enough people involved with the rec committee to be able to find these
Mhm.
little,
exactly.
events that would,
I
bring
would-
the community together.
Personally, I had no problem funding recreation at all if they were doing, they were more active for the town and people
Yeah.
were participating, but
Yeah.
I hate taking front loading a budget and it just sits there and does nothing because, and then we just lapse it.
I mean, I can see some better uses that they could make,
Mhm.
whether it's, and of course, you get, a big population of aged people in town
Hey,
that probably would love to
Talking
use.
about me again.
Not me. They may wanna learn to use an iPad
Mhm.
or a smartphone that aren't familiar, and there are people out there that would give those lectures and teach you how to use them.
Oh,
I'm still
okay.
trying to learn
And
how to use my phone.
if they ever thought of doing something like that, you probably find a lot more participation,
Mhm.
and I'm not offending anybody, but
It's-
you might have more participation
It's
than going on the bus
funny that you say
ride.
that because the library has held seminars or little, education courses at the library to do exactly that, help people,
Navigate the technology.
yeah,
I mean, those are just examples of things they could do
oh, yeah.
for, to spread, and I'm sure there's probably young people too that experience the same thing.
Well, no, you're gonna have a 7-year-old teach those classes. So it's old people.
And actually, I have someone that would like to go there and she'd probably dismantle everything. They're trying to present because I get challenged all the time.
I know
Okay,
the
put it back
same-
together, please.
I know the same people.
Okay, so do we wanna leave it as it is,
Yeah.
based on the email, or do you wanna
Right.
make an adjustment, or do you wanna,
Well, I think, when we set our budget,
okay,
I think that's when we can look at it and we
Yeah.
can really critique it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right off the top of my head, this is just their suggestion to us, we haven't gone through and, put it all in and see where it all comes out.
Yeah, we haven't done the heck of
Yeah.
work yet.
I mean,
Yeah. we do have some big increases with just the, PLT and
right,
a few other things that we were on a 6-month
Absolutely.
expense, now we're going to 12 months, so we're gonna see a big increase with just the necessary things that we can't avoid,
no problem.
we can revisit it.
Alrighty.
So we'll go with those numbers for now,
Yeah, for
and
now.
we'll,
I mean, that's what they wanna take and recommend,
okay,
that's the recommendation, so.
Yep.
We appreciate you got that.
alright.
Alrighty then.
Rec,
Right.
mail basket,
Mail basket, you wanna fly through that? Of
we'll
sorts?
go fly through it, but,
Oh, we still have some stuff in our list here.
yeah,
Okay. Alright, we got a budget I assume it's just for our
Yep,
edification,
yep, sounds like,
is there anything you wanna point out, or do we wanna take it home and read it and then come back next week and go over it?
well, I think I'm hoping that we can look at this budget briefly, specifically the office equipment repair. We haven't, just been too busy to even,
Where are we?
And what page is that?
that's the first page at the bottom, the very last account.
Oh, all
We
right.
have
Okay.
budgeted there $5,000, and Linda Landry's in need of a copier
Yeah, we
scanner.
are. Mm.
Is that what this Conway thing is?
That, I've given you 3 quotes, I received a local quote from ABC on a Biz Hub last year that we purchased for the tax collector to keep it in line with what the town clerk had.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she's not really enamored on the copy quality. It does everything else, it faxes and scans, but she's not happy with.
3 quotes, or just 1 quote?
There's actually 3 attached there.
Oh. Not in our packet.
Yeah, I think it's in the,
This looks like the same.
I got this one here. It came out of the mailbox.
in the mailbox. I didn't make copies of.
Oh. Okay,
Let's see, let me
gotcha.
see here.
We only made copies of 1 then.
Yeah, 'cause this looks like the same thing.
What do you have there?
Conway?
Did I give you 2 of the same?
Well, they look like the same thing to me.
Okay, so,
I think it's in the mail packet.
I got it right here in my hand.
Okay,
So
so
you
first,
all have the Conway one.
yeah, we all have the Conway one because it's based on a
Okay.
sales quote and a maintenance quote. So that's the current company that we do business with, Conway.
This
And
is the
then,
machine right here, right? See,
yep,
so is this supposed to be like one machine for everybody kind of thing?
no, actually, if you, on the sales quote, we actually have 2 items that I want the board to, consider.
Mm-hmm.
The very bottom one, 1986, is a, work center for the town clerk. And then the 2 models above it, the Konica Biz Hub 287 and the 7225, those are either ors. And what I'm hoping to do is replace this one here in the meeting room. This one is, problematic at this time. It has, regular service calls, doesn't duplex all the time, causes jams, it's used by all the departments and committees on a regular basis. And when we purchased it, it was refurbished.
So you're looking at one or the other, right?
The 2 top ones would be one or the other, something we can consider,
And these are buys, these are not leases.
these are buys with a maintenance
With a maintenance agreement.
which I think is very,
Okay.
reasonable for the amount of,
I have the materials here if you want to look at it.
the one I'm really hoping that the board will consider tonight is the Xerox Work Center, as you can see, in Linda's budget copies. The ADC quote I had gotten said it would be $414 to replace that drum that is,
Yep, the one
Passes.
that's got a problem.
right. And unfortunately, at the time, we replaced Judy's with the same model that Linda had, hoping that we could
Yep, swap them around.
use the toner for backups, that type of thing, or parts. And I asked Judy how she felt about her copier, and she said that, well, it does everything she needs, but she doesn't use it for copies, and I asked her why, and she gave me an example of a copy and what it does. It might be a setting on it that I'll have the technician look at, but it seems to cut off the edge of her copy, so she does not use it
Not full
for
width.
copying. I don't know
So,
what it is, so there's,
I asked a dumb question.
yep,
What's with the, we got one here from Phil Tucker regarding a Biz Hub, 3320.
correct. It's very similar in the capacity of the Biz Hub 20, but it 3320 replaces the Biz Hub 20. So we're looking at similar quality, similar speed, similar features at $569, plus the toner is $200.
And that's for whom? Replace this one?
No, Linda's.
The Biz Hub 20.
All those 3 quotes right there I'm asking you to look at is Linda's.
Okay, so this one, and the bottom one is for Lynn.
Correct,
Gotcha, okay.
okay?
Gotcha.
The other, he gave me the quotes on the others because we're having problems with the other ones.
Alright, so we have one from ACD copier.
Yeah.
For this 20,
He actually,
it's $5.49.
what he sold us is the $5.99 Biz Hub 20. What he gave us for a step up was a Kyocera, I don't know how to pronounce that. Kyocera, and that's $985.
Yep.
Okay, then you're looking at the toner, which is starter toner for $105 to $200 for a longer full toner. No service maintenance agreement, we'd have to, go by the warranty of the product, and then call for service if we had a jam, couldn't.
And then you're gonna pay daily.
Yeah, okay, so that's the comparable to what we have here on this Xerox.
The Xerox Work Center,
Yes,
that's $1,900.
correct.
So I'm guessing the Biz Hub is a cheaper machine.
Yep, it is. I haven't, and they are not that old, and I just haven't been pleased with, spending $500-600 on a machine, then having to spend $200 a year on a toner, and then having to call for service because we only have service under the warranty, and then once that's out of that 1 year, then you're paying to have someone come in and service it, which could be very costly. It usually runs.
But this $1,900 is still, you have to have someone come in and service it though, right?
That's covered under the, maintenance quote. We currently have 2 of our machines under this maintenance quote.
Okay.
This one here,
Okay, yeah.
and then the one in my office.
Alright, so you're just adding it to the maintenance.
Right, what he's proposing is, if we went with a new one of either of these 2 on the top, we'd be looking at $1,200 a year for service, and then any overage would be at .0069 for black and white and .069 for color. They're very similar. They'd be billing us in a quarterly, and then what they would do is just add the town clerks at called it a no charge.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yep.
Could we get this kind of broken down into maybe a spreadsheet or something?
Okay.
Because we've got 3 different quotes, we got numbers all over the place, and,
Okay.
we're trying to take and make a decision on something, and we're back and forth, and it'd be nice to be able to take and actually have it set up.
Absolutely, yeah. Put
so
it all
we
in a
could-
spreadsheet, and
I mean, I don't feel comfortable making a decision tonight without actually doing all the due diligence of reading through everything.
yeah,
and
we have
it's just-
time, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just another week.
Right,
We're not gonna execute it
So
anyway
you good with
until.
that?
Just,
well,
next
no,
year, right?
no, these
Yeah.
are just quotes,
Yeah,
these 2 here.
yeah.
But right now, we have 2 under this maintenance
Yeah.
agreement.
These
Yeah.
all go together.
So
All
I'll
this
include what we have currently, and then I will include,
Yeah.
Yeah.
primarily Linda's copier, just so you can get an idea, and then we can revisit.
Oh, and if you have time
Replacing
to
this
throw,
one.
if you have time to throw that on there too, I mean, as a separate section.
Yep, and
And also the maintenance agreement, so we can, broke, what we're
Yeah, so
actually
we
paying
know
now, and
that's
what
what-
it's what the new charges will be and all
Yep.
that, so we can.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'd be curious
Yeah.
with. is
Current
what's
charges
costing us
versus-
for-
Yep.
That's really
Yeah.
where they
So-
sometimes make up, for the inexpensive
I
machine.
truly hate to throw it on, more work at you on that
No,
side,
I
but I mean,
understand.
I just don't feel comfortable
Well, I
just
had-
saying, oh, let's
yeah.
pick this one.
Yeah, okay,
I mean, it's
that's
like,
fine.
I feel like I'm playing dark with a blindfold on, to be honest with you. You wanna take a look at any of this stuff now, or you wanna
No,
move forward?
we'll wait for the spreadsheet.
Okay, that's,
Alright, let's move forward then.
let's see. Do we have 15 minutes,
We can extend a little longer if we can.
We can go to the whole 9:35.
Okay, one more thing that I had put in your basket, and then I withdrew it because I thought we had a busy schedule last week, was the, budget cost for GIS upgrading.
Very good, I missed last week.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of non-public, so.
I know.
I'm bringing it to your attention again today, because again, in my line, I have office equipment, I have, some tech support.
Here's the original.
This, GSI service, right now we have all of our, tax cards and mapping visible online for the public. They have now expanded and developed the capability of us uploading our vision cards, and currently we do it once a year. This new software, which is considered a module, is a one-time $800 charge, no future charges. And what it allows us to do is to upload our tax cards on a regular basis. I did this about 3 weeks ago and my computer was tied up all day long. We have 1,444 properties. You can either program it to pick and choose just the properties that have changed, but in our case, sometimes it could be the spelling of a name, a mailing address, the data itself, and it really, the software is only on one computer. Originally was on the building and planning department, and I just recently moved it to my office. And there
Why
was,
is it only on one? Wouldn't we have licenses for all of them?
this is a license that can only be, well, I think the problem is we own a PDF changer license. And it takes the vision card, changes it into a PDF, and then you can upload it to GSI so it matches. So, I'm hoping that,
So what's this gonna do for us?
let us do it weekly, monthly, as many times as we want.
Not gonna tie up your computer
It's not
for
gonna
a
tie up
day?
our computer, and this is kinda on the same line as the property deed updates. Originally, when I first got here, we would get large envelopes of our property transfers. Now we can do it on a designated day. It takes 5 or 10 minutes, and then you upload it. And what I did here, and I had to push myself to do this because we were getting more calls saying, your information on the website is not up to date. And, you know, it's either a property owner transfer, or, you know, they're looking for a permit, if the permit was pulled on, you know, something that they just, an assessor went out and said, there's a deck here, and it doesn't show on the card. Well, if the cards aren't being updated but once a year, then there's a discrepancy with what we're providing to the consumer or the appraiser or whatever to get information. And, where we're such a small staff, I think we could utilize this to work with the deed changes at the same time, so that we're uploading it and it's done, you know, in a very short amount of time, rather than tying up our computer on it for an entire day. And that's an $800 one-time charge.
Alright, so what's the other part of it there, the
That
associated
I'm not
document feature?
interested in.
Okay, so it's something we would use.
Yeah,
That's good. If we don't need it, let's not get it.
what it's basically saying is that they would create the batch and they would upload it. But we have the ability to create the batch because we have the PDF converter, software. It's just we need to be able to upload it more than once a year.
Alright, so, but we're looking for this.
I'm looking for 800. Again, we can wait till next week if you wanna look at the budget.
I mean, put in your administrative budget, and
Yeah.
throw it in there, just let us
Yeah.
know where it's at, and
Right.
so we can take,
Yeah.
you know, as we start
Work with
hoeing
it
and throwing and everything.
for next year, you're thinking? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Or you mean as in purchase it now?
I didn't know if we had enough money to
I
do it
don't
now.
know.
Oh, we're buying lights.
Okay.
Yeah.
One way or another, I will have it. If you don't give it to me today, I will ask for it for next year.
Ooh, that sounds like a threat.
Hang on.
Well, I like the idea of simplifying
I
everyone's.
will have
Hell high
I
water.
guess it was a little bit
I'm
forceful,
getting
but,
it done, thing.
okay, it's my
We got a department that,
Yes, Santa.
really would like to get the money so they can get a new toilet.
Yeah.
What's more important?
It all depends if you
Yes.
guys know.
Alright, so please take the time to review this, so your budget.
Yep.
Keep in mind, this is through, it says through December, but your expenses would be through, the 6th, which we just, processed.
Okay.
Revenues, still have outstanding revenues, obviously. We've been working really hard to try to get a lot of our accounting up to date with whether it be fuel expenses, credit card expenses, there's a lot of behind the scenes, updating that we need to try to stay on top of things, and Allison's been very supportive in helping me stay on track with a lot of this, so.
Right. Well, next thing we have in our packet for the mailbox is an application for restoration of involuntary merger of lots. And at that point, I'm gonna take and recuse myself and hand the chairmanship over to the vice chair, Mr. Rowe.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit over on this side.
Do we have that in our packet, or I need to
No,
use your
It's right
original?
here.
just the single sheet,
It's right here.
the cover, this is,
So I'm refused.
so, basically, the last 5 years, it was determined that, the merger that the town had imposed on the residents, was illegal under the RSA 674-39. And, what was required of the town was to post a notice in a town meeting annual report for 5 years consecutive, notifying the residents that if they had a circumstance where they ever, at one point, owned 2 non-conforming lots that were merged based on the process of what the town did for our zoning, it was well before my time, that they had the opportunity up until December 31st of this year to apply to the board, the governing body, governing body, to appeal the, with proof that, these properties existed separately before the voluntary merge, or no, the, involuntary merge.
Involuntary is what it sounds
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So that must have happened all over the state, not just Dunbarton.
oh yeah, it did. So, this is the information I received from, the NHMA and the step that was recommended as to how an applicant would approach the board to appeal this non-conformity land use. And, I would say that I probably, I could, because this is a one and only in the 5 years I've had this notice out, perhaps a quick, review by the town attorney to say this is what he's proposing. He's got his deeds that show that they existed, they were in different ownership.
Yep.
One family purchased from the other, but then it went to, the level where the towns merged the two because they were 2 acres each originally, and then 4 acres? No?
Well, I think one's like 1.9, the other one's like 2.2 or something
Okay,
like that.
so
you know.
they were both non-conforming. That area of these
Well, at the time
non-conforming
they were-
lots is a 5-acre zone right now.
They were bought in the 60s, so there was no such thing as
Yeah, there was
non-conforming at the
nothing
time.
there.
Correct,
yeah.
yep,
So,
yep,
they had lots of record.
yep.
So, so you're suggesting we show these to the town attorney?
Yeah, and if she says this is valid, then the board can say, well, she may even have a language as to how to address it,
Yeah, how
or,
to address it, sure. Right, then why don't we do that?
what do you think, Bob?
Yep, might as well,
Yep,
Yeah.
because I know that after you make a decision, you have to post it anyways.
yep,
So you might as well make the right decision
Yep.
and then
Step-
make
step
one
this
and
forward.
post it and be wrong.
I mean, it may be something, if
Yeah.
I have to post it in the newspaper too, I don't know
Yeah.
how detailed
Well, why don't you
it gets,
find
and I'm
out?
sure that they've
No idea.
seen a few of these.
Well, it's, yeah, it
Post
says
in
post
public
in a
place.
public place.
Yep,
Hey, that's outside the building.
regular mail to owning
And-
property owners
yeah,
and abutting
and
owners,
abutters.
Yeah, butters, yeah.
so it's more work for me to do.
There you go, Lee. Thank you, Brian.
But
You're welcome.
would you agree that that's a good, safe way to?
Yeah, no, I
Well-
I mean, it's a
absolutely.
single sheet, it's an application that's been complete, he doesn't need to get his spouse to sign the other,
They can. go
yeah,
on.
she can stop by, yeah, you have to. Anything that involves 2 parties on a deed has to have
Yeah.
both parties sign.
Didn't even see the second signature block when I did it, so my
Yeah,
apologies.
no, I think it's a good process to follow, keep us out of trouble in a way, make sure we, because once we've done it, it's gonna be done.
Yep, yep.
Works for me.
You might have a quick, checklist for me to follow, just to say, hey, do this, and have a public meeting and you're done.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're all set, I'm
Want
gonna
that?
forward to the
Any
town.
questions for me?
No,
So we done with that?
we are.
Okay, so I
You
can,
can
I'm
come back.
unrecused,
You're unrecused. Welcome back.
or whatever this term is.
Alright, so we got that.
Yeah.
What else is involved?
Alright,
Well, you get that.
we
Got
have,
one. Catch beavers.
yes, permit to trap from Eric, well, to grant Eric DeLude to, trap, let's see, town right of ways, culverts for beaver control.
So
So-
we've done this before. This
Yes,
is
we
just
do it
if
every
there's
year.
a problem.
It expires every year. We actually
Yeah.
had a call this week that there was a problem with the beaver, there happened to be a private residents with, anyone can contact someone, they knew, well, we knew of him as a trapper, so we had them get in touch with him directly. And then he came into the town office and reminded us that his permit only lasts June to June, and it actually
Yeah.
expired,
So
so.
it's June 30th following both
Yeah.
the other issuance.
Yeah.
So does this
Yeah.
allow him to go into a private residence property and
Not
trap
at
a
all.
beaver and
No.
beaver
No,
pond?
no.
So
This
yes,
is-
that's a different process.
Right away in
Correct.
culverts.
We specify where we are allowing him to trap, and then he usually works with the road agent. So the road agent
Okay.
has a problem, he'll contact Eric.
But if a
and say-
homeowner had a beaver pond issue, then they would call.
He's
They
gotta,
can-
no,
We've
he's,
got a couple names that we can.
they,
give
yeah,
out.
they could use the guy, but he has to get permission from each homeowner.
Yeah,
Correct,
but
yeah.
because they're, well, they're
Yeah.
a fur-bearing animal also,
Yeah.
so no
Yeah.
permits for
And the
that.
reason why we specify the problem beavers is because we don't want them going on to town property, and just say, hey, I got a permit to trap.
Yeah, to go trap.
And if
Yeah.
we don't control, town property that's governed by
Forest
the
committee.
forest committee or the conservation, and they don't want that, then
So he can't just show up at
that's
Kimball
why we
Pond and.
specify with,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
so.
cool.
Everybody good?
Sure.
Yep.
Alright, so the consensus, we'll sign it.
Yep.
Okay.
And, actually, good, so that's good. Sad
We
part,
don't
is so
wanna
damn
lose
small,
that.
yeah, it's
Tiny.
miniature. Okay,
4 minutes.
we're going. Alright, we got a request from the town attorney regarding an affidavit signature. You gentlemen have any thoughts on fair?
No,
So
just
see the emails and
do
everything.
it, yeah.
So, alright, will Lean sign it for
Yeah,
us on our
yeah.
behalf?
Not a problem.
Alright, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Alright, we just need some initials there, we'll call it good, we've all got the emails on it. Alright, MTRSP budget drafting training session is now available. You got an email on that too?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
I
sure.
thought, because there was so much information, it might be
Yep.
helpful if you got it in the email, that you could talk about it. I did confirm with the individual that sent it to us, I gave him a call, and what it actually is that portal, device that we communicate to the Department of Revenue now for the budget process, the warrants, and anything to do with tax rate setting. It's the same portal that I have to upload information. Tax collector uploads, a couple of her reports, town clerk does the same. And I think I actually had a PowerPoint on this last
Yeah, you
year,
did.
where I showed you the process, and we used it for the, tax rate setting last year, so. It's open to the board if they're interested in, it's, I think there's a few options, right, classes and webinar?
Yeah, it's classes and webinar, you
Yeah.
get January 11th is webinar, January
Yeah.
24th is class, then it's all webinars until
Yeah.
March, which is after town meeting.
Yeah, that one there, yeah,
So I don't know if anybody's interested in watching a webinar or going to a class.
yeah, so you have the, I actually thought the webinars were a little bit more informative than the class, but either or, you all have the email in your inbox and.
Can you actually,
Oh, okay.
can you
And you can
record the
sign it.
webinar?
They're available after the fact, I think, I'm
Yeah, a
not-
lot of them online afterwards.
Yeah, it's like a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some of these before,
Yeah.
you know, so.
So look at it, it's in your
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your mail, I
Yeah,
hope.
I'll put down the date when
So,
I can sit there and have a, you see, you can have a beer and a sandwich while you're watching.
Up in the tea house and have tea and dessert while you're eating.
Tea and dessert, there you
Oh,
go,
but I
Clyde.
don't drink tea,
I have
I
coffee
do.
now.
unless it's, you know, it's a little strong.
Alright.
Okay,
Moving on, guys, it is getting almost past our bedtimes. We have a list of folks regarding, we asked, we're talking about, the transfer station and the turnover rate there. And we have quite a list of people who have,
I was looking at the years though.
mm-hmm,
They weren't sorted on that, which would have been kinda nice.
I think they went by data higher.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
So,
newest to oldest though, right?
Yeah.
The more recent versus,
But there is a
Right.
big turnover though, it's crazy.
well, time, like 8 weeks, 3 weeks, 9
Yeah.
months, 16 weeks, 1 year, 3 weeks, 1 year, 6 months, 4 months, 3.5 months, 3 weeks, 3 years, that's good. But, actually, no, he's still there, so he hasn't left yet, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
everybody's gonna leave sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, it'll get one good. Now, 3 months, 6 years, 6 years, that's good. 1 year, 1 year, 10 months, 7 years, 4 years, 6 months, 10 years, 6 months. Oops, no, Darcy's still there, technically. So, I mean, recently, it seems to be the more recent
Yeah,
hires.
the more recent hires, yeah.
You know, from about 2012 on.
Yeah.
For the last 4 years, it's been,
Been a real
Hit or
revolving
miss.
door.
yeah, so, thank you both, you and Joe Marie for
Yep.
taking and compiling it.
Yeah.
So we need to
I looked
consider.
at it, I looked at it today, but I just didn't bother signing it.
Mhm. Oh, okay. So, if you wanna discuss further, we can, or if you wanna just hold on to it for,
No, good info though.
for budget purposes, time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you fix that, but.
That's a good question. Alrighty, Exhibit A, scope of work proposal, Dunbarton master plan update. I can tell you from sitting on the planning board, this is, basically a continuation of phase 2 of the master plan that we agreed to last year.
Continue, phase 1.
Continue with phase 1 into
Yep.
phase 2. Right?
Yep.
Continue the whole plan, it's phase 2.
Yep.
I believe it's been budgeted in there, operating budget, currently.
And we would, with this contract, encumber it.
Yep.
So that it would be, funds would be there to finish it, cause it does tend to go over a 12-month period.
Exactly. So we do have the funds are in the planning board's budget currently to
Yep.
take and do that. So, and it's their legal right to do that if they so choose, as we found out last year with the discussion. So, that being said, I'll make a motion that we take and sign the phase 2 paperwork and encumber the funds and continue with the master plan update.
I'll second that.
Alright, any discussion?
No.
None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty then. I'm gonna put my John Hancock on here. Today's date is the 8th of December.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get you to date it.
Oh, that's right, to today's
8th.
the 8th, right?
Who seconded that? I was reading first. Thank you.
16.
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna keep doing this till you're really confused. You have to understand
She's getting
that.
good at it though.
Well, she says getting really good at it, not getting confused, she'll quit. Then it'll be SOL.
Oh, well, I had her on the list.
Yeah.
The rotation.
We got here the snowplow removal rate, snow plow removal rates. Kinda doesn't sound right, I think plows, or whatever. Anyway.
We know what it means.
Yeah, we know what it means. It's-
Modify it, sorry, French.
Yeah. We got a ton of one here with a front plow for $55 an hour from Mr. John Wigan Mowing.
And Jo Marie's doing a good job and making sure that she keeps up on the individuals that work for the town, they have a certificate of
Yep, they have to
insurance
do
on
insurance.
an active one, so she's created a list,
Mhm.
and she follows up with them.
Okay. So are we, agreeable to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that, that's,
alright. No, we don't need to make a motion, do we?
no.
No. Yeah, I don't think we need any motion, because we've already said we'd accept it. Alright. Date, December 16. Alright. You guys wanna do this one too, or you wanna hold off until?
What's that?
The one that has the loader, or table it?
Well, we can do it.
Okay.
It's the last one, isn't it?
No, we actually have
we still have-
3 more outstanding.
Right.
Um,
Alrighty, and we also have another one from Jeff Crosby, since we, for his truck and loader. So, you're all good on that one?
Yep.
Right. There you go, sir. I think that's the end of the mailbox. So, well, we're signing that, and go around the table, you have anything else for us?
I have modified the 2017 calendar just a bit. And I'm interested in knowing
Yes,
what the
so far.
board feels about scheduling the summer schedule. I think this past year we started it a little bit later. Did we start it in June?
No,
Was it
well,
May?
yeah, I think so.
I think it was, yeah.
I recall in the past, it went May, June, July, and August. And if that's the case, it would, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it would save us $900 in budget, and it would give us 4 straight months of every other week scheduled, selectmen.
Need copies of it too?
Copies for everyone.
There you go, sir. Thank you.
All the way down.
And I didn't know if, the board wanted to think about this, get back to me, cause I'll need to know that for my numbers, and I'll be scheduling my budget probably the last week of December.
So the X marks through May,
Yeah,
June, those are the proposed off
Yeah.
Thursdays.
the yellow ones are holidays, which are closed, but, that would be two weeks in May, 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in July,
Just
3 weeks in August,
3 weeks in June. The first, 15th, and 29th.
Yeah.
in June.
No, but you'd meet on,
No.
you'd meet on June
Meets.
1.
You'd meet
Oh, I
June
mean,
first.
yeah, three
Yeah, there are 3
meetings.
meetings, yeah.
Yeah, 2
Correct,
weeks out,
okay.
yeah.
When did, last year we started in June?
Yeah,
I think we did.
And
believe it is.
previously it started in May, it just seems like
I
a long time.
don't remember, the
That just seems like a
previous
long
year,
time.
but, in all honesty, I think why we always left it was if we accept the summer schedule, we also agree that if there's a need, we will
Need, right,
take and
exactly.
Yeah.
forego the, week off and meet if we need to.
Yeah.
You know, in case there's something important that comes up that we have to actually
And
meet for.
and in the past it has gone in.
I wanna say it was around May.
It just seems like that's a long time, that's all.
I mean, we can choose the June, July, August, and I can budget accordingly for 7 weeks.
Trying to remember what the meeting, probably we can look back at the minutes of last May and see how, intense they were.
Yep.
I guess for lack of a better word.
Yep.
Well, you know, the thing is, if you're coming out of March, right, with the election, and then the kicking in of the new budget, so you got April and, just April, and then you're moving right into your summer schedule. I don't know, to me, that just seems early.
They could always, they can forego the 11th and just start on the 25th.
Yeah, tie it into Memorial Day, that'd be a good idea.
What do you guys think?
I like that one.
Yeah, 'cause it looks like it would be very early,
Yeah,
in the year.
that seems odd to me.
And I don't remember the intensity of last May, although we did come to the meetings,
Yeah,
you know, last year, not this year, but
right.
Maybe the
following
2
year.
months, 2 months following election or town meeting would give us 2 solid months to work on
Yeah.
policies,
going, yeah.
job descriptions, other
Yep.
things that are kind of pending.
So only taking, keep the 11th,
So we'll, yes, on the.
and then, and as a compromise, we'll take the 25th.
Start on the 25th,
That sound good?
works for me.
You good with that, sir?
sure,
Okay, so I'll work on my budget with
The 11th.
those.
11th of May, we're gonna take and actually
Meet.
and then as a compromise, we'll start on the 25th, so that way.
This is for the every other week meetings.
Yeah,
Yes.
summer schedule. So I can budget. I'll work on that.
Actually, let's put that right there, 'cause that's gonna be part of the budget. Alrighty, anything else?
No, not for me.
Mr. Grillo, anything else?
Excuse me.
Bless you. No, I'm good.
God
Bless you.
Came out of nowhere.
The only thing I got, I thought about bringing up was the Guinea Road situation. I know you gotta get some research together and all that stuff, but I assume we haven't even thought of that, have we?
No.
Well, I mean, we owe the people an answer. It doesn't have to be, I'm sure they're not anticipating it to be immediate, but I mean.
What exactly, do you need
I have to go back to the minutes, but I thought it was that they can research all the information we can find on Guinea Road, as in why it was named, how it was named.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that was the historical thing that
Right,
Fred
that
spoke
Fred
to,
did a
yeah.
nice little.
I'm
Did
gonna
a
get Fred
great job.
involved with
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it sounds
Absolutely.
like a project he's already done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, just get him in here and
Yeah.
he can, you know, if he knows where the sources are, you know, make photocopies of it, let's put a folder together on
Yeah.
it so
Okay.
they can do our due
Yeah, 'cause
diligence.
he
Alright.
did, he had
I will
a
do
boatload
that.
of information on that.
I just don't want it to fall on the, you know, on the back burner, it's still
Okay.
sitting in our basket there and,
Okay.
you know, not sure which direction it's gonna go, but at least, you know, let's do our due diligence, you know, I know it's budget season, so it's gonna have to take and be worked in accordingly.
Should have to weigh in.
Don't wanna
Okay.
forget about it.
Alright.
Yeah, you don't wanna add it to the back of the page.
Now, the back of the page has enough on it.
I just wanna put a line through all of them.
Let's see, yeah.
Well, once you put a line through, we can take a walk.
Actually,
I don't-
hopefully at some point in time, we can start to address the few that are remaining, cause,
Yes.
you know, there's not that much there.
The 11th of May.
Right.
That's all I had, sir. How about
Okay.
you?
Well, I got a couple of things. One of them
Fire
is,
away.
Score Construction didn't put the collar ties in when they did the rafters up in the attic. which-
Actually, I forgot, they actually contacted Joel Fisher.
Yeah,
Joel
Yeah, I
came
saw
in
that.
and inspected it
yeah.
and discussed things with them, and didn't I give you his report?
Yeah, you
His
sent
Yeah,
us
I
an
saw the
email.
report.
Okay, so he basically said that
Pictures.
the wood or the structural part of it has all been completed and that a few pieces of the metal
Mhm.
were not drilled properly, and that's why they couldn't get, and then the bends on the angle brackets
Were
weren't
off.
bent correctly, so they
Right.
couldn't make them
Yeah,
fit.
this way I understood, it wasn't built to plans.
Right,
So that's on,
their score is trying to get, reviews for,
Oh, yeah.
Going.
Cohen, thank
Cohen,
you.
Yeah.
Cohen Steel
To take and fix it.
to fix it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, they
that's
should.
where, and he said as soon as the Cohen Steel can correct the errors on the pieces that are not done correctly, then they'll continue the work. So what I've done in the budget here is I've encumbered the 5,000 because we are under a contract, so the expenses you see are true.
Mhm.
And then if they don't do the work, the money's still there to have someone else do the work, but
But I
they
read-
have all intentions of coming back to finish the work.
But I read in his report also that they didn't have the collar ties in, so I was just curious, cause that's just wood fabrication, you know?
Oh, I'm sure he communicated that
Yeah.
to them, cause he said he was up there and, working with them, so collar ties is one thing that I'm sure that
It's
they.
in the
I
report.
wonder if I should send them the report as well?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I- yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they should have a copy.
Yeah,
if they don't have one.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't,
we
I
should
would
have
think, I
one.
would think because he called them, him
Yeah.
out, that he would give them, a
I'd
copy of
say
it,
not
but,
knowing, cause we're
It's
the
almost
client.
like a
We'll send it
punishment.
to 'em.
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're the
Yeah.
client, not them, so I don't,
Yeah.
assume.
But, on another note, with the small amount of snow that we got this week, it was nice to see all of it slide off the, slate, and it was coming down pretty hard, pretty quick,
We're probably about, 90%, 95% done with that roof,
yeah,
inside and out.
yeah, outside's
nice.
done, inside, we're almost there, so.
And one of the other things I had, and that's probably gonna be after the budget season, but, you know, looking at the personnel policy
Mhm.
and the way they address, wage increases, maybe we have to, change the language a little bit and adjust that a little bit, and that's something we can discuss when that comes along, but that's one of the things that caught my eye, one or two reasons, you know. Sometimes it may seem low, if you're reading the economic indicators for the next 2 years,
Yeah.
for an employee, it might be a good omen because they're talking about 3%, 4% increases in the next couple of years as far as the CPI, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Big challenge right now is China, Japan, and Russia that is capturing part of the market. That's also driving up the cost of consumer goods, and that's what your CPI is based on, part of it, you know,
Okay.
so, and this comes out of a, you know, well, Bloomberg magazine, when you read their predictions in Forbes, that's what they're predicting, so, at the same time, I think we wanna respect the employees in town, and it's not just here, and I'll give you a copy of an email I got from unemployment, was, for the month of September and October. They posted on their online services a little over 20,000 open positions in the state. A total of 38,000 we've heard so far this year.
Wow.
So that tells you that I think they need to start training and spending more money in training people for jobs, but at the same time, that hurts us as far as the, you know, the regular trying to get work done. Almost like a manufacturing job. When you're working at the recycling center, it is like working in a factory because just stuff keeps coming in and you're distributing it. I mean, that's the thing now is that, you know, the economy is moving, but goods are gonna cost more. And so we have to look at a way to get somehow to adjust that so we're somewhere in the middle. We're not too low, but we don't get to where the CPI is high and you're wondering, you know, we have town people to answer to, they're gonna say, you know, we don't get that kind of raise. We hear that all the time, you know.
So you're gonna wanna revisit that, okay.
Yeah, and I think
I mean,
maybe
back-
what we might wanna do at some point in time, change the wording so it says may use a CPI. So you can.
Yeah, I think prior to this motion to use that was merit raise. They budgeted just a bulk.
Yeah, but they can lead you into problems with
I really,
Reviews.
you'd have a hard time selling me on merit raise.
Okay.
they're very subjective.
Yeah.
Again, they're also based on reviews, which we haven't really done on a regular basis, as I understand through the town, so I mean, we're kinda shooting ourselves in the foot there going at it
Okay.
right from the get-go. We had all our ducks in a row.
Yeah, we're trying to move in that direction.
Yeah, I know. And that's a good thing.
Yep.
Unfortunately, just, you know, can only move so fast. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, well then I'm gonna open up for public comment, so we can get to.
Other than how to feel sitting here tonight.
I was going forward.
I got the part about facing it, now you didn't have to.
It was good, man.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Maybe we get some cushions and
I'm all set though, thank you.
Chief?
Oh.
Public comment?
I have to talk to you tonight, if I can go in, when you go into executive session for just a couple minutes, it's a real brief thing. I promise we won't keep you on.
It's all right. That it?
That's it.
Woody?
quick thing, just a reminder, we are closing December 24th at 1 o'clock.
Let's
So,
get out
Lean's
to
been getting the
everybody.
word up on the board.
Yep.
I haven't checked the website, but I'm sure it's up on there.
Yeah.
Been putting flyers up around, so I'm sure at
1 PM, Christmas Eve.
Yep.
I'm sure at
That's good.
1:30 somebody will show up, but, well. And the other quick thing, just a question budget-wise. What do we think of maintenance stuff? I mean, I don't wanna call these contractors out that I've called year after year and then we don't do anything with it. I mean, is it just do it, get them out there and get your prices and it's gonna be a crapshoot what we do?
Well, you
or-
already have prices for the stuff that you want, right?
What's that?
You already have prices for a lot of stuff you want, right?
No, I mean, some of the stuff, like, we talked about, the emergency lighting in that building. When they come out and did the inspection, we don't have any emergency lighting. And then I've got some stuff, you know, last year I had a guy come out, give us a quote on fixing the rotted wood on the building, painting the building, but,
Right.
you know, we've been kinda, I just don't wanna keep calling, cause eventually contractors, they're just not gonna come bother when they say, hey,
Yeah.
Dunbarton's not gonna do anything anyways. I just trying to get a feel of how you want me to handle it, what do you want me to do?
Well, if you have quotes from last year
Yeah.
for any of this work, can you just, throw a 10% what if on it and,
Okay.
and use it for, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I had
contingency.
kind of a question actually,
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
what you ought to do, but I'm just saying, instead of dragging people in,
Okay.
if you've already got one for that rotted wood, for example, and paint, just throw 10% on it and,
I'll get together and lean at some point.
yeah, I mean, I would do that, but if
We'll
you have
see what
some,
we had on the list from last year.
yeah, but if you have something new, then I would go get, a
Right.
bid for that, but if you get something you already had in the works, what do you throw 10% on it?
That's all I want to
and
know.
Go from there.
Depending what everybody has for each, like the library or the transfer station or the garage, depending on what all their accumulated, maintenance is maybe we can start attacking a little bit on each building to get somewhere, so
Yeah.
that would make sense to at least have some numbers, you know? And at the same time, it may be that, you know, if we can find 29 to put, you know, to fix the structure of the roof, maybe we can find enough to take some major concern with
Yeah. Yep.
things, you know?
And maybe we can get like a handyman type contract like we've been talking about, and might be able to eat up some of that way. It might be cheaper in the long run, just
Yeah.
hiring somebody,
Yeah.
you know, on a basis. All set with that, then?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Mike?
Just one thing, I saw that cabinet, the fire cabinet where the town clerk keeps her stuff. I've never seen a cabinet so full of crap in my entire life. So the thing is, you need to get she needs more space. She needs to inventory her stuff. It's gotta be a requirement, not just a wish thing. You gotta, itemize, or at least catalog what she has, and then buy her that cabinet. And then lastly, I really agree that you gotta make rules, that none of the stuff leaves the building by any town official, or any employee. Anyone who wants to use it can put a request in, they gotta look at it right here. But that's gotta be tightened up. And she needs space. I mean, I saw the cabinet, she just showed me the cabinet today, I was like, oh my God, what can you put in there? Nothing. So that's my 2 cents.
Nope, that's what we're here for, appreciate that. Mike, Kaminsky.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Alright, hearing the public, then we're gonna go and close public hearing, and we'll go into a very quick non-public with the chief of police, by his request. And we're gonna go